Hello, welcome, Asik, to our payroll transformation series program. Generally, whenever I connect with payroll related topics, so I generally cover it as an end to end. But at
Mhm,
present, I will tell you what are the touch points of payroll. Okay, so when I
mhm,
say employee central payroll or a cloud payroll, when it comes to the success factor, we have a connection between all other payrolls as well. So, like
mhm,
cloud payroll has a connection with your compensation and variable pay as well. Okay. And
mhm,
also, we have
mhm,
EC benefits, right?
mhm.
And also, any country specific payroll that is obvious, right? As you will be working on a
Yeah,
Dubai payroll or any that
it
will
will
be
be different.
definitely
This.
okay. But these are all will be part of my platform. But as we
Mhm,
discussed, we will be focusing more on the cloud payroll. That means
mhm.
your
Okay,
employee central cloud payroll.
payroll.
Okay.
Okay.
So inside that again, suppose we go deep dive into the cloud payroll series. I cover
Mhm,
my topics into 17 different categories, which is
mhm,
actually I identified after my last 4 5 years of experience, not only the
mhm,
implementation side of it, but also interacting with various students,
mhm,
various professional working professionals. I have at
mhm,
present segregated into 17 different varieties of it. Right? So different
mhm,
sources, what are the different areas where we generally focus, right? So whenever you're working in a typical implementation project, okay, so there is a specific track. That is a track number 4, where exactly you will be focusing on the implementation side of it.
mhm,
So let's say once you're implementing, migration is also part of that similar kind of a project.
mhm,
Migration, integrations you might be aware of, right?
mhm,
So
mhm,
because sometimes your client may ask that they want last 2 years or 1 year payroll data to be migrated
Legacy
from
data.
the legacy,
Legacy data. Legacy data.
legacy data to be migrated. That is also a different strategy you needed, right?
Mhm, mhm,
At the same time, integration is obvious. We have internal integration as well as we have external integration. Whenever I say
mhm,
internal, it can be with your time module or EC module or any other like
mhm,
compensation benefit, whatever I have said. And it can be also an external integration. It can be your time off. Suppose you're
mhm,
using some third party time off software,
mhm,
okay,
mhm,
like
mhm,
Chronos or Workforce or any other third party.
mhm,
So in that case, we will require. Okay. So as a functional consultant or as a success factor EC payroll consultant, your focus should be always on the starting from process. Okay, you should know end-to-end process. When I say process, you should know your SAP standard process, what SAP follows, that they call leading
mhm,
practice. At the
mhm,
same time, you have to understand also the client process, which is very
mhm.
important.
Business
How the
process.
client does
It
it. Business process, yes, yes. And you have to also, you're as a consultant, your job is to identify the gap, okay, or identify the
Mhm,
differences, okay. And that is where exactly you play a major role. That is what you have been hired for that project or whatever activity. And you have to identify, suppose there are some process gaps, okay,
mhm.
or which is not catered by SAP. It is not
Custom
possible, right?
configuration.
Every client is,
Customer
yes,
configuration.
yes.
Customer
Custom
configuration is required.
configuration, definitely, definitely. Because every client is unique in nature. If they have their own industries, they
Mm.
have their own requirement, they
Method
have
method
their
of
own
business. Methodology of
yes,
business.
the methodologies of business. They have their own aspirations, right? So definitely SAP tries this best to, but I will not say SAP will cover everything. It is a
Mhm,
common thing. Even if you are having working in a similar industry, in the same similar kind of a project, the requirement will vary. That is where we
Yes,
play a major role. That
yes.
is what we have been paid high for that, right? So to
Mhm.
understand those process chains and
Requirement,
all.
requirement.
Yes. So where do you understand the process? So when I suppose if I ask, suppose you have been asked to understand, your client has asked to understand their existing process, and you have been deputed to the client side. You have been asked to identify the process gaps. So generally, what do you do? So I just want your from your experience, or it can be there's no right and wrong answer. You just tell me, then I will be answering.
Right.
So yeah, I want it more interactive. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to make the blueprint of the process, blueprint of how the existing functionality work in the existing system. If it is migrating from an old system like ADP to Workday or something. If you are migrating from
Hmm.
Workday to SuccessFactor,
Hmm.
how does the existing functionality works in that, and
Hmm.
how much we can automate it in our systems.
Hmm. Hmm.
Basically,
Good
the
to know. So,
functional, how it works
yes.
in the system.
Okay. So what I understood from here, so I will also make a note of it. What exactly you are saying? Actually, you are saying it's a BBP. Okay, so you are saying a
Yeah,
BBP, you will be
BBP.
like a document, which is an old
Yep,
process, but still organization use it these days also. Even if you
yep.
use activate methodology, but still we use a BBP. And this is nothing but we also there you might have heard about something called
FRT,
um, BRD, which
BRD,
is a
yeah,
more
BRD,
common,
FRD, yeah,
which is
BRD.
a more common terminology.
Common terminology. Yeah.
So this common terminology, even in India, whether US, most of the organizations, a very industry specific
Terminology.
terminology. Okay. So basically, BRD is nothing but it's a business requirement document. Okay. So you should understand this very well. Okay. And it doesn't
So,
have SAP doesn't say SAP doesn't have its own BRD optional thing, as I am saying, because SAP follows workbook pattern. Workbook is a must, okay, for any project. But many projects also recommend to use a BRD document or business requirement document. It can be a Word document, or it can be also sometimes Excel sheet also, possibly, depending upon your need and all. Okay. So this is a thing. And here you'll be capturing all those requirements sometimes if it is required. It is not recommended, means not required in every project. But if your client is following this is a pattern, so you have to ask. It can be a deliverable also in some project, because I was working for a project, it's a very big project for LMS in Success Factor for one of the oil and gas
LMS.
company. So they have there it was a 1 year project. So because of this deliverables, a lot of in number of deliverables was high. So the project also got increased to 1 year. They given us a time also for everything they wanted documentations, right? So it depends upon the clients and all, right? This is something which should be aware of. Okay. So any questions here regarding the process
Yes,
piece?
yes. What is the difference between this BRD and FRD, functional requirement document and business requirement?
Yes. So whenever I say BRD document, okay, so basically it covers both. One is your functional, another the technical part of it. It will be having some company they follow a BRD. Under that bucket, we have two things. Okay, one is a functional and the technical. In some organization, they have a separate document for functional, another document for technical. But ideally, it should be a single document where we cover both the things. Okay. So as you have asked, like it can be you can say BRD is equal to, so I'm just writing the mathematics functional requirement plus TRD,
Tech,
functional plus
technical,
technical requirement.
technical. It
Functional,
is a
functional
combination
requirement
of
document.
technical.
Combination of functional requirement plus technical requirements, but there should be mapping also. Suppose we are giving a functional requirement. For that same requirement, you have to also talk to a technical person, but regarding the feasibility and whether that is
Possible,
possible, doable,
possible
and
or not.
all.
A
If it is ABAP, if it wherever it is required, that is something we have to understand. Okay, but one thing you have to also understand. Have you ever heard about PL or
PL
process library?
process. No,
Generally,
I haven't.
okay.
I have
I
seen
will
it
just
somewhere. Yes.
I will just orient to you for that. I'm not sure today. Actually, there was some migration was going on from success factor side, but let me check it out if it is still active or not, because they were migrating this to another platform. So
Platform.
I'm just
Okay. They does that always.
they do that, yeah. So whatever they
Uh,
do, generally they were giving that. I don't know. It is not opening today, but
okay.
if I have kept it, I kept it, and also I think it is in our academy also. If you will be able to find it out there. Okay,
Okay.
so you check it out. Okay, I think it is opening somehow, but there was a pop-up I have seen yesterday. Yeah. So today actually 7:30. Okay, need only more from this to this. Generally,
Okay. Okay.
okay, there could be some problem, but here I'm just saying the path actually. Okay, maybe this path will be different path once it is migrated. But
Migrated. Okay.
here exactly how once you have to go to resources and there is something called process library. Okay, as we're focusing on the process, so this process library every success factor consultant should know. Okay, so process is the first thing you have to focus, and inside that if you go, you have a module specific asset. Okay, for every module, SAP provides this process library. Okay.
Can I get access to it? Because I already have an
Yeah.
account in this. I'm a P user because I'm a certified consultant in
Yes,
SuccessFactors. So I might
definitely,
have access.
definitely,
Do I need to
definitely.
create
So
another
it is
account or something? No, no need, right?
no, 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 no. Actually, using the same S user ID,
Single.
you should be
Yeah.
ideally
Okay.
able to access it. Every success factor
Okay.
consultant. Actually, this is a community portal
Common.
for customer community. So it's a
Got it.
customer community. Everybody should have access to it. It's a thing.
Okay.
There is no cost for it. Okay. So here
Okay.
you will be
Got it.
finding a lot of things. You
Okay.
don't have to go everywhere. So simply you have
Okay.
to come to the payroll part. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to come. If I hover around the payroll, I have three documents here.
Mm-hmm.
One is a process diagrams.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Second one is a process summary. Third
Mm-hmm.
one is a leading practices. So these three documents you should always look after whatever the module you are going to implement. Okay. This is a
Mm-hmm.
standard document which is offered by SAP themselves, and you
Mm-hmm.
should have a copy of it. Okay. In your whenever you are implementing any projects, not only for this, any module in success factor, whatever you are implementing. So these three are very interrelated document. Okay, inside the process library, as I have said, these are the three documents which you should know. One is a process diagram. All the process diagrams will be here. Okay, so the process library
Mm-hmm.
is equal to process diagrams. You have a one deck for all the process diagram. Another deck you will be having process summary, which is a
Mm-hmm.
description of whatever the processes. For each and every diagram, we have a description for that. And another one, third one, is your leading practices. Okay, leading
Mm-hmm.
practices, or generally we call it a best practices. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so these three you should be aware of every time whenever you are working on any model, especially in success factor. These three things you should know. And what does it mean? Does that mean that process diagrams are actually fixed? The answer is no. Okay, this process
Mm-hmm.
diagram are actually SAP has done a lot of research, and based on the customer feedback, from that it is a common thing, common thread, that this is how a typical process looks like, and it is also ideally applicable for many organizations, right?
Mm-hmm.
They do have a they have a divided
Okay.
everything into four process groups here.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay. Standard
one is a
process there.
standard process, pre-payroll, payroll run, post-payroll, and
Hospital.
periodical or statutory activities. Okay. So these
Activities.
three things all are interconnected with each other. So it is a self-explanatory. I will recommend to download this today. And
Mm-hmm.
before our next session, you should be fluent in speaking these languages. Okay. So
Okay. Okay.
suppose I'm going for a pre-payroll. There is a plus button you can see here. Actually, what happens, these are actually drawn using, there are
Mm-hmm.
some tools. Maybe you will be if you are lucky, you will be getting some of the projects, you have to
Mm-hmm.
draw this diagram of your own. Okay.
Okay.
And
Okay.
there are tools, we call it there is this one actually nobody will tell you unless he is or she is an architect. So generally we use it called BPMN. BPMN is
PML.
another terminology. This is a standard terminology, not specific to success factor. We call it business process modeling notation.
Notation.
Generally, people who work as a business analyst, okay,
Mm-hmm.
if you
Project
are
manager.
get a
Project.
chance to project manager, sometimes not project manager, rather the sometimes the analyst. If you are having a business
Okay.
process analyst, okay, business
Mm-hmm.
process modeling notation. So this is across industry, not specific to your typical
So
success
got it.
factor
Yeah.
thing.
Got it.
Okay, so you draw diagrams using BPMN tools, and there are tools like what are the tools we have? You have MS Visio. Okay, we can draw all these things. Okay, all this process diagram. We do have
Is it a
Aries.
software? Is it a software something?
Yes,
BPM and MS.
it is. No, BPMN is actually a kind of a nomenclature, you can say, just like in C++. If you have remembered
Uh-huh.
IUPAC, and that is there is a nomenclature standard we follow, right? And some kind of
Okay.
ASCII standard follow. In chemistry, you might have heard IUPAC and all those nomenclature, organic chemistry and all, right? If you remember.
Uh,
Similarly, we have
uh,
a standardized
I'm
notation.
from commerce.
Okay,
I'm from commerce actually, basically. So
okay. No problem.
those.
At least you've heard about it. Okay.
Uh,
So anyway, so we have MS Visio, we have Aries. These are the different softwares. There are many
mm,
softwares, but these are the leading software. And SAP uses a software called Signavio, which SAP now
mm,
acquired it. Okay, it is now, there's so many tools, so many softwares, but this is the leading software. If you get an opportunity in some of the projects, they ask us to draw this, otherwise not. Okay, so
Okay.
you can also draw using your typical PowerPoint as well. So as simple as that. Okay,
Okay.
so this is a thing. So the next thing I will recommend, understand the standard process, these four things. And if you go to the pre-payroll, right, how the naming convention has been done here, you can see 50-10. Okay, so 50-10, 50-20, 50-30, 50-40. Okay, so this is SAP's own naming convention. And if you see here, if I go to the next step, under 50-10, we will be having sub processes. This is a process group here, pre-payroll. If I go to the next one, you can see a pre-payroll and 50-10-10. 50-10-20, 50-10-30. This is the kind of for every gap of 10, actually, this is the naming convention generally they follow. Okay. And under pre-payroll, these are the different activities, or it's different processes, I will say. Again, this is not at activity level. And but if you go further, under you will be having for each and every, whenever there's a plus button, that means we can
Again,
dive. We can deep dive inside it. So suppose I'm talking about pre-payroll. In pre-payroll, we have a 6 processes here. Okay. So like initiate payroll period, master data payroll, import payroll data, all these things will be there. Suppose I'll be focusing on this one first. Okay. So this is the process. Okay. So this is a typical process diagram, which is the initiate payroll period, which is the process here. Okay. And how does it happen? So there will be always a starting point, there will be end point, and there will, we call it a swim lane. And this is where exactly there will be a persona will come, means the person who will be doing this activity. So this will be vary from organization to organization. Actually, it can be most of the organization, they follow a standard terminology. They call it a payroll manager or a payroll administrator or a finance person, whoever doing it. But more or less same name will be, similar name will be there. Okay. So you have to identify these are the process. This is the standard process generally we follow. And wherever you see there is a purple color like this, that means those are the things where exactly we will be having some kind of integrations, or we are talking to some other system. Okay. But most of the activities can be done inside your employee central payroll, right? So here you can see the payroll control center is coming into picture. Okay. So before we go to the system, and all those system things is the easy one. Okay. But understanding this end to end is very, very important, because whenever you'll be talking to a senior person, they will not be interested to your configuration stuff. Okay. So they may be, suppose if you're talking to a payroll head or finance head, okay, they will not be speaking this language. They will be understanding this process, right? So how to check a payroll data quality. So these are the different processes, right? So you have to understand, this is your main base. Okay? So you have to understand this. And if you do not understand here, there is a hack here. So here we have a summary for each and every diagram, whatever we have seen, right? So we have a summary for it. Okay? Suppose I'm talking about initial payroll period. The diagram was there, right? Initiate payroll period, right? So here we have a pre-payroll. Inside the pre-payroll, there is a particular process called initiate payroll period. We have an explanation, a descriptive explanation here. Okay, what will be your starting event? What will be your end event? And who will be the process participant? This process participant, as I say, it will vary from organization to organization. In some organizations, there will be one
who owns the
person.
process? Who owns that process?
Who runs, who owns the process, and who executes the process.
To execute the process.
And here actually it will depend upon actually organization. Like if it is small organization with 500 employees, I have seen they have only one person to do everything. Okay. If it is a larger organization with 10,000 plus people, then they might be having a department for payroll with 3 to 4 people. Okay. Some person will be doing a statutory part. Some people will be doing the gross part. Some people will be doing all kind of reporting part, or some people will be doing the data part. Okay. So they can depends. So you have to identify this as well. And if you require, you can take this also as an input to your BRD, something like that. So this is a detailed way. I would recommend at least you read it once. These days, I do not read all this, because long back I have read it. Not much changes. It doesn't changes actually. Only based
It's
on
a standard process. It's a standard process they're
standard
following
process.
for the PCC.
Exactly.
Basically, for the PCC screen will be like this. All the stages of this. I've seen it.
Exactly. Similar kind of stuff here. And also there are like payroll alert again. Okay, so what kind of things we'll be getting alert? What is the input? What is the output? Why we are doing it? So why we are doing it? That you will find in the purpose section. So purpose means actually why we need it, why we need this process, right? And what are the dependency? This is also very important. Whenever in many projects, they draw something called RASI matrix. You might have heard about it. Who is responsible? Who is accountable? Okay, in that project. Okay, who should be informed? Okay, who should be consulted? So here you will be getting an options like dependency. So does this process has any other dependency with other projects or other thing? So you will be finding. So this is document is very standard document. I would recommend to use it, okay, specifically for your knowledge. And this will be actually whenever any questions comes also from a client, from a process point of view, you can means if you are confident on this, you will be able to answer it very nicely. Okay? So this is the second document I will say. Okay. And the third one is leading practices, as I always say. What are the best practices for everything? Okay, managing a payroll through PCC, for managing data, what are the prerequisites? What are the benefits, and how means you have to also understand this. What are the benefits of each and every leading practices? It has been covered in this document, especially the pre-payroll check. Okay, how to track all those KPIs and all. Okay, so that is something I will recommend. These three documents should be handy for you, and you should download and keep a note of it. Okay, so this is
Sure.
about your library. Any question? I will take a pause here.
No, nothing. I'm all clear. I will download it today and read it everything.
These three documents at least: process diagram, process summary, and leading practice. And for these BRD and all, it will be vary from organization to organization. SAP doesn't actually promote it. Actually, this is something if the client needs, you can have your own.
Right now we are following agile methodology, right? In agile methodology, do we need this business record document?
It is actually in agile methodology. What happens? We prepare those every sprint. We have a workbook, right? So in that only we in the workbook itself we capture it.
Workbook.
Some new requirements comes it, right? Even I have not, to be honest, only one project for the last 4 years. Whatever I have done, I have used BRD. Otherwise, most of the projects we manage it through workbook only. SAP's workbook. If anything new comes in that same workbook only, we make a Excel sheet. We additional custom requirement. We keep it. We do not. We do not do because more the documents, more will be the challenge to maintain those documents, right? So generally, if it is not, client is very much particular about it. Do not create a separate document, otherwise it will be lost in the mail chain and all, right? So this is regarding the process. So process, I always focus on the process because this is something. It will not
it is
change
a
basic thing. Even if you go tomorrow, today we are working on success factor. Tomorrow you are getting an opportunity to work in a project and Workday. These things were not going to change. Principles, strategies, architecture, these things are not going to change. Maybe the tool, how to do it, it will change. How the screen will look like, it may change.
The table will change.
Yes, even after, I will promise you that even after 20 years down the line, this is not going to change. It will remain the same. Toward the people who will be giving input, they will be getting output, they will be getting their pay slip.
Pre and post and there, everything will be there.
Maybe 10 years before, somebody was going to office and he was writing an application to give a pay slip or some 5 years back, maybe somebody was writing an email, somebody was writing a ticket, raising a ticket. Maybe today, what innovation comes, actually, you can chat with a chatbot, and chat with the chatbot is integrated with your payroll, then he will download a payslip and he will give it automatically. That payslip will come to your mail or WhatsApp or message.
That is happening. That is happening in our organization. Our one of my project lead created a chatbot for the employees, so that employee can receive the payslip, request the payslip in their WhatsApp. The chatbot is doing it. And if they want, if the supervisors need any transfers kind of thing, that they will request in the WhatsApp, the chatbot. It will request to the workflow, come in the workflow of the success factor. That's the integration they are trying to do it in automation.
They might have done a service now or WhatsApp integrations. They might have done those stuff. It can be doable pretty much because suppose you're having 20,000, 30,000 employee every day. You are only requesting for this kind of a query every day. So you are increasing your manpower for operational activities. Using your RPAs and all this WhatsApp automation. It can be, which are actually repetitive in nature, right? It can be all automated. Even if you see any insurance portal, also if you might seen insurance or bank portal, what are the common queries they have already have in the chatbot? Okay, so automatically you can answer, unless and until if it is very specific, which requires a transfer a call to a human Actually, then only it goes there.
intervention.
Otherwise, otherwise directly you can all those things. So that's the thing. So with that note, I think you are okay with the process. So you will
Yeah,
get
yeah,
the
yeah.
task.
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead. Yeah, go
And
ahead. Go ahead.
feel free whenever you are having some questions. So where how you can do that? Actually, I will just
Mhm,
trying to say. Let me log in as a
mhm,
student. I will tell you where exactly
mhm.
you can do all this activity.
Okay.
So if you have any
Let me
questions, so I will simultaneously you can also log in because that you will be resonate with you because I have logged in as a admin. So I'll let me log in also as a student. So you can
Mhm.
also simultaneously open. I will tell you what exactly you can do. Okay, for this activity. So all of your courses will be available in the My Courses first of all. Okay. So if I'm adding some additional courses, but which is not part of the bundle, okay, it will go to all courses, but ideally you should go to My Courses.
My process.
So here Cloud Payroll Mastery. This is your course,
Mhm,
which we are actually running now. And here,
mhm,
as I was saying, right, for everything we have a track. So the track
mhm.
one is actually, so here what I have said, what I expect to this from this track, actually here you will be having basically, so I have not given any task here as of now. What I will do today, I will enable it. Okay, because
Mhm,
I have not enabled it. Just I was just renovating. So what I will do, if any question, I will enable a discussion forum here. It will be looking like
mhm,
this. I will just tell you how
mhm,
does it look like.
mhm.
So for if you go same thing, I think I have done it for other track. Let's say this one. Let's see. This is Canon payroll. I actually okay. Let me go to the cloud payroll. I actually I'm in the wrong one.
Mhm.
Cloud payroll. So let me go there. So cloud payroll. Yeah,
Oh
this
yeah,
is the
see,
one.
yeah.
And
Okay.
also you can see your progress here, how much you have done. So you, it will
Okay.
be navigate. So you will be seeing how much you have done. So if I go here, so actually what I will be doing here, so actually this
Mhm,
is I will be putting into a track actually. So all the thing part of using this is now actually mixed now. So I will be doing a track activity. So I'll be having
mhm,
just like you are having implementation. So you will be also having another track called process track. And here
mhm,
you will be able to see whenever you are going to any guide, right? Okay. So
mhm.
if you go to that particular guide, and below that you will be having an option to something called discussions. Okay, you can see in the right
Okay.
hand side top
Okay.
there is something called
Okay.
discussion. Otherwise, if you scroll down, you have an option with a photo, and there will be something called
Okay.
write something, right?
Okay.
Where you can write your queries. Okay, suppose you want to
Okay.
understand what the okay. So you have always an option. You can whenever you're going to piece any guide, you can write any questions. Or second is also reflections. Reflection in the sense what you understood from that topic.
Okay, got it.
Maybe
Make a
yes,
note of it.
4 line, 4 line, 5 line summary. Because sometimes what happens, you watch these videos or watch this document, go through these documents, but I want to do some activity. Otherwise,
Right.
you will not be learning.
Practical.
It will be like a passive.
Learning it.
It will be not be. It will be passive learning, just like you're reading a
Yeah.
book, but I am not reading. So I will just
I
give you an
forgot.
example. I will for your
I
memory
for
because unless not you write something, you do not actually commit it, right? So
yeah,
generally,
yeah,
so
yeah.
for that reason, I ask, even if you are working in a project, or let's say you are
Mhm,
working in a scenario, but you got some an
mhm.
error. Okay, students do that. For many of the students do that. Also, there is an uploading an image. Suppose any error screenshot you are getting. Okay, so that also you can put it here. Any attachment you can
Okay.
also put it here, right? So all those options are given here. Okay, so that is you. I will recommend to take the advantage. So today night, actually, I will be changing a little bit of pattern of it. So at present, the
Okay.
process track is not there. I'll be
Okay.
align. This is because this is in the progress. So I will align
Okay.
with this 17 pattern, 17 tracks.
Okay. Okay.
So suppose if any question doesn't fall into the 16, there will be a section
Mhm.
called track number 17, where you can
17.
ask me
I
anything.
see.
Okay. So
Okay.
where you can put any question related to EC payroll only or cloud payroll,
Okay.
which is not
Okay.
falling into this category, any of this category. Suppose it's a implementation related question, you can go to the track
Mhm,
4 and you can ask.
mhm.
Suppose if you're watching a video, okay, and you are
Okay.
any recorded video you're watching, and if you have any question, definitely you can ask that. But if it is anything which is not pertaining to this anything, then you can go to the track 7, which I'll be enable today. Okay, you will be to the tomorrow morning, you will be getting that. Okay, so that's the idea. Okay, so now coming to the process part, and you have a task, you have to go through all those you have to go through all those downloadable. which is free of cost, available in the community portal, and you have to go through those 3 documents. It will take some time, and you can take the entire day tomorrow, and you can go through, or if you have any question, definitely you can ask. Okay. So now coming to the track number 2. What is this track number 2 and how it is different from track number 1? Any idea? Strategy in architecture. It is little subjective, but I will recommend this one also important one. In the long run, it will be very useful. Maybe it is not be useful, but I generally ask students to go through also this one. This is also related to your specific to your payroll. When I say strategy in architecture, right? So generally what they do, let's say your current organization, your current client, actually they are planning to move away from
phase 1, phase 2, phase 3.
Milestone. It can be milestone, or let's
Milestone,
say what is
yeah.
their milestone. They some organizations they call it a wave. Okay, so like wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, milestone 1,
wave
milestone.
1,
They
yeah.
use so
Yeah,
they use different
I heard.
terminologies, but ultimately the same thing.
It is the same.
This is a kind of a project management. Also, people use the same terminology. Wave 1, wave 2, wave N, or it can be a milestone. Okay, so they use this kind of a terms, milestones 1, 2, 3, like that. Okay,
and
so
if the milestone is completed, it will be go live. Go live, right? If the milestone is
yes,
completed, it will be go live.
milestone. Go live is one of the milestone. Okay, so go live is one of the milestone. After go live, also you will be having hypercare. 1 month, 2 months. That can be another milestone that you have to support for next 2 to 3 months, or maybe post go live there will be something, some training will happen. That can be also a milestone, depends upon that, right? And in the product management terminology, we call it roadmap. Roadmap. Okay, from a product management point of view, generally SAP uses the term roadmap. Okay, so they have also a roadmap explorer and all. So, okay, so generally what is in the road product, what is the new thing coming up and all, but overall same thing. Okay, strategy means actually what is the current status. Suppose your client is actually now using on-premise payroll, SAP HCM payroll, or they might be using some legacy payroll, some other third party which is on-premise, not a cloud one. Okay, so they will be moving to the cloud payroll. Okay, so that is their strategy. By when? So strategy means we will be having some goals and objectives that you have to have a milestone that by 2023 April they are going live. Okay, so let's say also you're having multiple countries. Then whether you will be going for you might have heard about something called Big Bang, or it is a staggered go live, staggered or a phase wise. Okay, or phase wise. Suppose you are implementing for Dubai. Maybe you are already having a branch office or another office in UK, another office in the US, another in India. Okay, so whether you are going for a live or going live together in a big bang approach, okay, or you are planning for, let's say, go live in a phase manner. Okay, so both have its pros and cons, right? This is nothing that we cannot say that big bang is good, staggered or phase bang is bad, or nothing like that. There are pros and cons on all this. This is something called strategy. If you're a project manager, tomorrow you'll be a project manager, right? Then you will be think about all these things. As a consultant, also you should be aware of this terminology, what they say. Okay. Another thing also you might have heard about called greenfield, brownfield. Hope you are aware of this terminology.
Yeah, greenfield. I know that other
there are actually, you can also do some R&D on this. I will recommend, because it's some greenfield is actually which is just from scratch. If you are doing something, okay, and there can be some project which is already there, but actually they are would like to re-implement it or optimize the current implementation to get the maximum benefit of their investment, right? This is something which comes into picture. This is something from a strategy side of it, or there is something called architecture side of it. So whenever I'm saying architecture side of it, SAP makes our life easy here. Some system level point of my overall understanding of a system high level point of view. The same access, you have to go to the same portal, and from here we have something called under resources. We have something called ALP. ALP means architectural
best practices.
Best practice. This is something different from the leading practice. Whatever we have seen earlier, this is more deeper. Okay, so whatever we have seen, this is from a client point of view, from a process point of view.
Process point of view.
From a system point.
System point of view. System point of view.
System overall point of view. Okay, so this is
overall
something overall system point of view, and we have a documentation for everything. Okay, whether it is instance strategy, whether you are a testing strategy, we have a defining global template, payroll. So from a payroll point of view, this you should be must. Wherever I'm student, I ask, all of my students, they're familiar with this and they're mastering this document. This is a very nice document. It's over and above your implementation guide. I have never seen many people, general people skip it, but I will not allow you, many students of mine, to ignore it, because this is something, whenever you are talking about the interaction or integrations, right? Okay. So here you will be getting from an overall perspective, okay, from a payroll process point of view, although there are integration guides, okay, but they will not give you a picture. Architecture means you are getting a big picture. You are looking at a bigger picture. Okay. So with your EC to ECP, ECP to EC. Okay. Similarly, EC to benefits module. What are the types of interaction can happen at a process level, at a system level? How do, suppose you are doing a payroll testing, what are the best practices? What is the instant strategy from a payroll point of view, right? This is a very handy guide. I will recommend to at least once you go through this, right? So this is will help you, at least the diagrams. Okay, whenever you are this diagram directly, you can use it. You don't have to think. Suppose the client system, client IT team will ask, like how the data, draw a data flow diagram or a data interaction diagram. You don't have to build something from scratch. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Rather, directly you can take inputs from these guides. I generally follow this. Okay, so generally you take this. Okay, just to change few things as per your client. Suppose your jam is not there, your client is not using jam, you can just skip it. Okay, whatever is relevant for you, you can just take this diagram as an inspiration from here, and you can directly utilize this diagrams and all the interactions also very clearly and very nicely. They have presented all this process. This is again a diagram, right? So garnishment, you can skip it. Garnishment, it is not relevant. You are not working for a US, if you're not working for a US payroll,
US
simply
payroll only garnishment. Yeah, US and Canada, I think. US and Canada and Puerto
US
Rico,
and
US is
Canada.
done.
Yes, in Canada, they do have a gardening, they do have a garnishments and all. Similarly, if you see here W4, W2, this is also not
W4,
applicable
that
for
is a for US only, US only. Direct deposit to the terminology comes from the US only.
Exactly. So what you can do, you can see this diagram, you can draw your own. Okay, simply you can draw your own in your PowerPoint or whatever the tools you are having. Simply you can take an inspiration from this. You don't have to think how to do, because I see in on-premise days, I used to spend a lot of time because there was no such handy documents. But nowadays everything is there, but you should know which document is where. That's the only thing you have to know. Right. These are all ready to made, means like we do our ready to made, all are ready, available. Just have to understand from where it is there. And these are the cross-module interactions also, the business process flow. Suppose somebody will be asking how the data will flow, what is the first step, what is the second step. Everything is well documented.
So where does the FICO, where is the FICO comes in this picture?
So FICO
the financial
comes in the picture,
data,
you can see,
financial
data. Whenever there's a cost center, whenever it is coming here, right? The financial data will be coming here into this picture. See number cost, because cost center will be maintained in your finance model. If you're having S/4HANA, right? S/4HANA finance system, it will be maintained. Their cost means step number 4, step number 5, 6, and 7. All these things will be interactive. So it will be very useful, and I will recommend to understand each and everything. Suppose even if it is not applicable in your project, but at least to understand. Suppose tomorrow a client is planning for a Concur is in their strategy for travel and expense management, right? Then you can always recommend, because you're as a consultant, you should not only think that only this is my scope. This is you can also help them. Why don't they go for a Concur?
Concur and integrated with our system.
Integrate with your. It will be also integrated with your payroll. Suppose somebody has taken an Uber. Travel automatically, it will go and post it in your EC payroll. That is, he has done. Once the Uber has that pay slip has come, automatically it will be posted in Concur, and from that data will go to the EC payroll, and he will be automatically applied for reimbursement for that transportation. Okay. So those kind of integrations can be already. So you have to just see what are the opportunities you can also. This is also will help you in increasing your visibility, because whenever you're talking to a client, right? Suppose you have brought a business to it, because you're at present you have not implemented, but if you are proposing this kind of thing, right? Definitely client will be interested, and you can talk to your manager that this is an opportunity that you have explored, right? This is always you can think of, right? Forward thinking. Okay, so this document will be helpful whenever you will be having from a typical architect, from a migration point of view. Also, they have given some points here, right? How will you handle your master data during go live? What you have to do? after payroll, first payroll is done, what you have to do. So this is all explained. Where FTS, there is some technical terms also they have explained here, which you will be seeing in our upcoming sessions, right? And definitely you can understand all these things. And also they have a diagram to understand, okay, what are the different screen scenarios also they have given. So this is something which I would recommend. You also go through this okay, one by line, every words you should understand, especially the instant strategy, all these things, right? And which in
Three
payroll we
system,
follow in
three
payroll
system
typically
development.
follow yeah, typically in payroll we follow 3 tier compared to the other modules in success factor we have a 2 tier, but in payroll we have a 3 tier. But ideally we do generally we work more in the QA. Okay, generally the employee central module, because that is again integrated with the EC payroll. Generally we do all the testing, any kind of parallel testing also we do it here and all, right? This is
So
something we
so
have to.
for EC and ECP, do they have development system? Because I instance they called it, right? Instance.
Instance, ideally no. Okay, but we do have, but generally that is kept with SAP. But
Yeah.
typically, whenever we'll be working, right, when it comes to EC payroll, generally the configurations is done in the development line, and that is again moved to your QA or your QA instance, which is really linked to your employee central preview instance, right, or test instance, right?
Test
Generally, that's the
instance.
process. Test instance, and the config can be moved and directly to the QA, and we tested everything there. Okay, because it follow typical transport request, okay, in EC payroll, that TR and all. Okay, generally it takes time, but ideally this is a typical instance strategy. We generally have a 3 system: development, your quality, and production. But ideally
And
we move the configuration to the your quality and we test it there. Okay.
I do have
Yes,
one question. Why there is a
please.
preview and production under the test QA? Why there is two system mentioned under the QA, test QA, the diagram,
Huh.
preview and
Yes.
production?
So
Why
if
it is there?
so actually why it is there, it is not mandatory. Suppose if you are doing a parallel run, you
Okay.
understand what is a
Yeah, parallel.
understand
Yeah,
parallel run?
parallel. Yeah. The configuration we're doing at the same time. We have to testing at the
No,
same
no,
time.
no, 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 no,
Parallel.
no, no. That is a different one. That is a different one. Parallel run is a specific term. I will give you a paper. There is a paper to study. What is a parallel run? Actually, parallel run means, let's say your client is already using a system, and they would like to, let's say they're going live in April. Okay, they are. There is a very nice documentation by Deloitte. So you can go for this. I will just give you an activity. So what is the meaning of a parallel testing or parallel run? Okay, this document I will say it is free, only available. You can just download this document. Okay, I will give you a link as well. Okay, so this is again a task for you, because this is something, a terminology which you have to understand. What is a parallel run? Okay, so basically what we do, generally parallel
PPT.
run, so we are going live, let's say in April. Okay, and but in your let's say your old system is Oracle. You are moving from Oracle to Success Factor, Employee Central Payroll, right? But your client has been, let's say they have been using Oracle Payroll for the last 10 years, let's say. Okay, they're very much familiar about all those things, right? All those system point of view. Okay, after they go live, okay, from a month of, let's say April, we are going live with April 1st, 2023. Okay, and the client wants to do a comparison of whatever it was coming in the Oracle and how it is reflecting success factor. They want to test it whether it is up to their expectation, because they were familiar with Oracle. Okay, they want to decommission immediately. They want to
Good.
run it both the system,
At
SAP
the
success
same time.
factor as well,
Okay.
Oracle, and they would like to tally both. Okay,
Okay,
so
got
that they
it,
will be
got it.
understanding,
Yeah, the
right?
result will be the same. Everything will, the calculation needs to be the same.
Yes, 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 yes. Generally, it gives a confidence. It is not only for
Okay.
any this module, any module. If you go, means especially the payroll one. Okay, wherever they do a kind of similar kind of matching. Okay, it may happen. There will be some
But it will take
difference.
time.
It is
But it will
obvious.
take time, right? But it will take too much time.
Understand, but generally to get confidence, some company they do it for 1 month. Some company go
Uh,
it for 2 months or 3 months. Generally recommended is 3 months. After 3 months, you can
uh,
go for. Then, if you are confident, then you just decommission the
Become the
old
older
legacy
system.
system. Generally, that's the practice. Generally, we follow. Okay, and also to generally to give a confidence level, so that because they have been using for the last thing, because change is something which is very difficult to accept, right? Suppose they have been doing for the last, like, multiple years, and they would like to move to Employee Central Payroll, that is a little challenge. They will be just comparing, and after doing the comparison, let's say if any difference is coming up, okay, they should be confident that whatever the difference is coming, that is justified. Let's say some of the new waste types, let's say some of the old waste types you want to decommission. You do not want to use that old waste types. In the new payroll, you will be using, you have consolidated those waste types and you are using new waste type. Definitely some difference may come, right? That you accept. Is a payroll parallel test, the outcome is you have to identify. So that blog actually explains very nicely. So you have to read that. I will, if you have any question, definitely I will take that up. Okay. But this is the purpose of the parallel payroll. That is also part of your payroll process. You should understand.
So
also,
I do have a question. So they do this activity in the testing system of Oracle system and in our SAP quality system, right? Or they do
generally,
the
what they do, generally they copy it. Okay, they generally copy. There is something you might have heard called pre-production payroll. So
yeah,
generally,
pre-production.
if you organize, it is not compulsory, but generally in the production data we cannot play, right? For that
Yeah,
reason,
yeah.
whatever the production data is there, we can copy into a preview
Dummy,
or copy into
dummy,
a
dummy,
pre-production. We can have a
okay, dummy kind
pre-production
of product,
system.
dummy
Huh,
production kind of
dummy,
system.
because payroll data is very sensitive.
Yeah,
Generally,
yeah,
if
yeah.
you put
We
into
cannot test.
preview, we cannot. If you into preview, everybody will be having access. Sometimes what happens for that reason, we generally procure a different instance for the, if it is required, not mandatory, but if it is needed, we can have another instance where we can copy it, and in that
Okay,
we
so
can do a parallel testing. Yeah.
so actually
That's
it will
all.
be, there will be a two production system. One will be the actual
Hmm.
one will be the for the production. This kind of activities will be done and will be decommissioned after the parallel testing and of.
Yes, yes. Maybe SAP also sometimes help in renting. They will give you a for 3 months. They will give you a rental, and you can utilize that instance. And for that, and
Oh,
SAP or Oracle or whatever the legacy system, you depend
yeah.
upon a contract actually with that vendor. You can extend it or if it is needed, right? And you can do that activity. Once it is done, you can suppose if it is needed for every time, you can have a permanent pre-production system where it will be giving a limited access to the only the people who are handling payroll, and this access would not be given to the other success factor users, only for the payroll team. You can do that, but it is again not mandatory. SAP doesn't say
But
mandatory, but it's good to have.
but I have seen in my previous client there were two quality system,
Hmm.
two or three quality
Hmm.
system for a success factor and two SAP
Hmm.
system. I'm talking about the ECP
Hmm.
solution where they're having
Hmm.
two SAP like
Hmm.
200, 300 for the SAP. In the
Hmm.
testing system point of view, there were three one. The one for
Hmm.
if something goes wrong for this one, we can use multiple processes
Hmm.
going on. One can be used. The
Hmm.
position management configuration was doing on one project. Global assignment was doing
Hmm.
on another one.
Hmm.
In the same time they were doing multiple projects on different instances.
That's new. It is new. Even in my current projects also we have similar kind of thing. If you're having some complexity, and sometimes what happens, you have a global instance, you have a local instance. Sometimes for a training purpose only, we have another thing where all the data will be masked actually. There will be no real person. Some dummy names will be there, dummy payroll data will be for training purpose. Okay, so that also it's possible. Like depending
Okay.
upon the contract, okay, with SAP, SAP will offer you everything. Okay, depending upon your how you have signed the contract, depending upon your requirement, they will be happy to help you in this. Generally, people
So, so,
take time. This is called an instance strategy. You can means
mm,
you're generally architects and all the generally discuss all these things. Even in my current project, this is a 1 month discussion. How to how do all these things. We took 1 month. You don't believe. I was thinking literally in my earlier projects, we never spent, because I was working as a typically just consultant, only do the implementation and go back. Okay, but in my current role, being an
you
architect,
have to
actually, I
you
was
have to go to
yeah,
the
I have to
SAP.
I have to literally have to work with our partners and our
uh,
actually whoever is with SAP and all with their
stay.
recommendations, understanding our current business challenges and all. Because if whatever SAP will recommend, definitely your organization may not be
Won't
fitting to that,
won't follow.
right?
Yeah, I won't follow. They want everything in customized way. They want
Yes.
everything in a customized. Don't want to
Yes.
follow the standard process because they were not following it. Because they were not
Yes.
following it, they don't want to change it.
Hmm. Many times, those are the challenges actually, which is very difficult to influence those very senior stakeholders sometimes, because that is actually a typical architect. Suppose you are an architect, right? Then whenever you are aspiring for an architect, one of the key soft skills required actually how to influence without authority, because you are not authority. You are not. You are a
Yeah.
influence without authority, I think
Mediator.
so.
Yeah, yeah.
That,
You are a mediator kind of, which is
yes, yes,
best to
that kind of
best.
broker, even typical broker kind of
Broker,
broker
broker.
agency kind of role they have to play a role. Yeah,
Yeah, role,
sometimes
yeah.
challenging, sometimes interesting. Yeah, that's the kind of role I play. Okay, but it's interesting. So I will recommend you go through all these things. I am not expecting
Okay.
that you have to master all these things, but at least
Okay.
glance,
Have a
because this is
picture of it. Yeah.
a picture of it. You should be able to visualize all these things in the
Mhm.
bigger picture.
Mhm.
And maybe whenever
Mhm.
you will be working in a design workshop, right? Okay. So
Mhm.
basically, how to plan all this, because as an architect, maybe 5 years down the line, 4 years down the line, whenever you'll be playing this role like me, definitely you have to do all these things. You have to do a planning, design, because I always teach something which is from a future perspective. Okay, because tomorrow you'll be working as an architect, right? Solution architect or enterprise architect down the line in your career, right? Definitely, how
Okay.
you'll be doing all these things, all the tips are given here. You don't have to think. Suppose somebody will be
Mhm.
asking, definitely this kind of a document will be very helpful for you. Okay.
Mhm.
And this is
Mhm.
something of payroll point of view, whenever I was saying, right? So, like the
Mhm.
differences, whenever you are doing a payroll parallel run, there should be some known differences. There should be some accepted differences. There should be some unknown differences.
No
This
differences. Wow.
again, you have to, this is again, you have to discuss whenever you will be
Validate. We
working.
need to validate. Yeah, we need to validate
Validate,
deeply for
yes,
the unknown difference. That is a comparison
unknown
report we
difference.
did after the
Yes, yes.
post payroll, pre
After
payroll and post
post
payroll.
payroll, yes,
Post
yes, yes.
payroll
You
and
have to do
pre.
a comparison.
Even
Actually, this
in
from
pre
that
payroll
point,
also we do.
yes, yes, we do
Before the
that. We,
on the simulation run of the payroll, we also took this
uh,
report kind of thing, validate it. After the
true.
post payroll also we also do. Then only we will
Uh,
exit the control record.
exactly, exactly. You're already familiar. Just this is just a recap for you, crash course kind of thing. Similarly, along with the Deloitte document which I have shared with you, that is a standard
Mhm.
public domain document. This is from
Mhm.
SAP point of view, what SAP says about payroll parallel testing. So what they say,
Mhm.
actually, comparison of a payroll from EC and provides a final critical test for both EC configuration data migration after it is done. And it should be done during the iteration 3. Means, as I was saying, right, during your go live
Mhm.
or before your go
Mhm.
live.
We go live.
Once the third iteration is done, right? Once it is ready for
Mhm.
testing, you can do that. And these are the different approach they are
Approach,
saying, production
approach.
snapshot. Whatever I was saying, the pre-production, right? So this they call it a production snapshot. That means
Mhm.
actually you do a parallel snapshot. Snapshot means you just copy it to your
Screenshot.
actual production. Not screenshot, your production,
Uh,
whatever data is there, you copy
uh,
that to pre-production or whatever instance you are
Cloning,
having.
cloning the
Cloning,
data.
yeah,
Yeah.
cloning is the kind of right term. Okay, it's very similar. They use it cloning they were using, but nowadays they are calling a snapshot, parallel per
That's
snapshot,
right.
and whatever
Mhm.
you are having, and you can have a two means as I was saying, one is a EC payroll parallel test client, another is SAP HCM production control
For
client.
production control.
Okay,
Mhm.
and there are programs or tools depending upon the organizations. You can write a program also. You can ask your developer to write a program, do all this waste type comparison. Okay, or
Mhm.
there are many other tools also offered by different organizations. Those are custom tools which you can also utilize for payroll parallel testing. Okay, so I have heard
Mhm.
about. I am not sure whether you have seen that there is a tool called for APUs use that.
API you say, yeah, yeah. I know some people from that company.
All right.
There is
Okay. Okay.
in my
So
connection,
they have their
there, in LinkedIn
so
connections.
they have a parallel run tool. So they have developed
Mhm.
many such tools. Okay. So
Mhm.
they have a variance monitor, if you can see, right? Okay. So they have a
Yeah, yes.
very good tools for that. Okay. If the client has taken the subscription for that, again, it's not a mandatory, but it will make your life easier. I have seen that.
Mhm.
Okay. So they have a
Loading
comparison
the
of
data
reporting.
and loading the data
Data
in SAP
comparison.
also, some
Yes.
comparison on
Yes.
loading also. Even the loading also, I think they have
Yes.
some
Yes.
kind
Yes.
of
APUs,
loader
they
kind
have
of.
their own. Actually, I'm not promoting them, but actually, this is something I have seen. I have actually this over and above whatever SAP is offering. On the top of that,
Mhm.
they do have their developed. They are something which is very unique in nature. Even Accenture is also there. Deloitte also has their own. Okay, so these are nothing very. Not a very difficult job to do. Generally, there's all programs in the back end, but these
Mhm.
companies,
Which
what they do,
saves the time.
consulting companies, they promote.
It saves the
It
time.
involves
It
a lot
saves
of
the
things.
time.
They have their own tools, they have their own technologies over and above whatever the SAP is offering, so that they can pitch in the market that they are having this many facilities, right? These are consulting companies, they do
Mhm.
that, right?
Mhm.
So this is
Mhm.
over and above. but depend upon it can be as simple as a simple reports also, ABAP report also, we can achieve it. Depends upon how you need it, right? This is something which I thought of sharing with you in the architecture piece. Another document which I would recommend. So this is what I have covered in the yeah. So let me go to there. Architectural leading practices, ALP. We call it ALP. So you should download this and you go through it. At least have a go through once. It will not take more than 30 minutes if you have a 1 hour just to go through it. Another document which I will recommend here in the same category, we have something called IDP. This is also I will be recommending implementation design principle. Here we are not talking about how to implement, rather what are the best practices, and also if you are having learning hub, if you complete this course, I will recommend this to complete this and share your badge in the LinkedIn. Okay, so which you can.
It will be helpful more.
So
Is it does it goes to open SAP or something?
No. It is actually not doesn't go to. I don't think it will be going to open SAP. It will go to
It
learning
is
hub
in SAP
only.
itself.
So let's.
Available. Okay.
I see. I don't think whether I think EC payroll should be
But
there. Okay, yeah.
the problem is I do have SAP learning access, but it is some other people's learning. If I completed it, he will get the achievement, right? Not me.
Okay.
Not me. It is some other vendors. I take some money to it, 10,000, 7,000.
Okay.
I'm using it, not
Got
the
it.
real access.
Got it.
Not in
Okay.
my name. Not in my name. That is the problem. Even the
Oh,
success
okay.
factor
I was
too.
not aware of.
Some other
I was
some
not
other
aware
people.
of. Okay, I was not aware of it. Okay, so in case in the future, I'm just saying from a future perspective, if you're having such things of success, definitely this document. Anyway, from learning point of view, you can download. So I was just saying which is the document. Here we have a lot of modules, but you don't have to go through everything. Okay, so you just focus on this one. I've just collapsed it.
Is it free?
You can see
Is
there's
it
something called
free?
EC payroll. This is
Is it
free.
free?
If you're having access,
Okay.
if you're having access to it, actually you should be able to do this. There are two documents, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
One is the EC payroll, how from a migration point of view, because migration is one of the key challenges. Okay, for that they do offer. This is 20 pages, excluding all. This is again a joint partner with Accenture. They have developed it. Okay, SAP has developed with Accenture. Okay, so this document, what does it say? It will be giving a typical BRD, whichever we discussed, right? What can be the typical business requirement? What could be the typical functional requirements? What could be the typical your data scoping, technical requirements? They have narrated it very well. So this is a typical consulting thing. And what can be the reporting requirement? What can be the custom extension? Okay. So from that point of view, they have drawn this diagram, and also they have told the solution also. So you, whenever you be doing such kind of activity, so you can take an inspiration from this diagram. This is how it has been done, and based on your requirement, you have to just tweak it. Okay, so you have to again don't reinvent the wheel. Directly take the inspiration from here. Directly learn from here how you will be migrating. Okay, suppose your client is asking to prepare a documentation on migration. How do you be migrating a custom object, because your client might be having bodies, right? In SAP, right? So there are some best practices. Okay, so there are some logic they have given. Maybe whenever you are talking to a ABAP, right, you can also give a hint that this is what SAP is saying. You have to understand this. And whenever you are doing a custom development, do not do anything whatever the customer is asking. Before that, do some analysis. Analysis is very important. Otherwise, system after 1 year or post go live, you'll be having a lot of issues. Right? If you have not
I have
analyzed
seen it.
everything, if you have not thought through or from a end-to-end perspective, definitely will get issue issues. And whenever you will be having, there is something called migration. Migration means lift and shift. You might have heard about this term because they call it lift and shift. Lift and shift means bundle everything, whatever the custom objects are there, how the customization, bundle them and shift
And
into
drop
the
it.
into a
Drop
transport
it in
and
another
drop it,
system.
drop it into the in your AC
Another.
payroll, whatever it is having. And otherwise, if it is a configurations, again, you have to do it from scratch. You have to do everything from scratch. They have given all these options. Okay, and this document definitely I will recommend again to read through, and it will be take you another 1 or 2 days for this, right? But it is worth reading it at least once in our entire whenever you are implementing something. It is a very good document. So from an architecture point of view, these two things I will say here. Your task is ALP plus IDP. Okay, so this two document you should be confident, and any terminologies or any sentences in this also if you are not understanding, you have to ask me. Okay, you have to ask me in the that you have to post questions in that portal. So this is
Okay.
something, a task for the next 3 days. I will recommend to
Okay.
complete it.
Okay.
So this is a track number 2. Any question? I will take a pause here. Any questions here in the
No, no,
track
no,
number
no.
2?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. You can go ahead.
Okay. 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 So that is from a track 2 point of view. So now moving to the track number 3. Track 3 is easy one. So track 3 is actually operation side of it. When I say operations, who generally do is generally your payroll, whoever is the end user. But why it is required for a consultant? Because whenever you're explaining to a customer, definitely you will be having
The role,
your
role.
knowledge. You have, as a even if you're a consultant, you're playing a consultant role, you should know how to do all the things in the system, how to part. This is all about operations things, means all admin activities, okay, and all the operation ops activity, like
Offside.
focusing on how how to
Mm-hmm.
do all these things. Okay, so this is literally focusing on how part of your entire project. And previously, whatever we have seen, architecture was all about questioning, challenging, all about the why part, why we do what we do. You might have heard this. Why we do what we do. Generally, whenever you are going for doing something, there should be some purpose. So whenever you are doing any kind of a transformation project, right? Why we should know, understand why we are doing whatever we are doing, right? That should be very much clear. And once we go for it, then in the operations side of it, how to do all these things. And here, all of your job aid will come into picture. Wherever you see any kind of a job aid, or we sometimes call it a QRG. Okay, in US generally they use the term called QRZ, which is known as quick reference guide. Okay, so
Ah,
in
yes, yeah.
US, I have
Better.
seen in US clients they use this term QRZ, quick reference guide. We call it job aid, or sometimes it's a very simple Indian terminology, user manual.
Yes, sir.
User manual. Yeah, we need a user
Uh,
manual and all these things. These
how
days,
do you?
people do not, because used to do it all these things in the earlier, but nowadays everything is a video. Okay, generally people
Yeah,
ask
yeah.
for, people give many of clients in India also. I have seen people use SAP Enable now. Okay, this tool, either use it,
Oh.
Enable now, or there are tools like WalkMe. You might have heard about it.
Mm.
Okay, it is not an SAP tool, but SAP tool is SAP Enable now. Okay, so in this context, you should know how, suppose somebody will be asking how to run a payroll, you should be very much confident about end to end. You should be able to
End to end.
show it in the system, how to run a payroll, how to do a, all how to question will be coming into picture here. How to run a payroll, how to basically do a simulation, how to do a production payroll, how to do a simulation, how to do a bank transfer, how to do a
Posting.
posting, production. All the how to things will be coming into picture here. And for that, we have a tool here. Let me check it out. If you are having a, there is a tool. Just a minute. Yeah. I think ECP is there or not. I'm not sure, but let me check it out. All the how to things we have this. Let me check it out. If you are having a task, we can also call it task tutorials. Okay, all the yes, EC payroll is there. So this access also I'll be giving to you. Okay, so you
Okay.
will be getting hands-on on this. Okay, before we do, okay, I think there are limited only. Let me, only two things are there. Let's see. One
Hire
is
an employee. I
adding
know.
an
I
employee,
know.
take action.
I know.
Yeah, all these things you might
I
be
know.
knowing all these
Yeah,
things.
yeah. I'm already
Job
doing in my
change.
current organization. I'm already doing this
Okay.
kind of thing. I'm in
Okay.
HR
Okay.
right now.
Great. Great.
Temporary. For temporary, I'm
Okay.
in HR. Joined in an
Great.
HR firm.
Great.
Not an HR firm,
Great.
it's a
Great.
retail firm, but they're using this SAP ECC
SAPs.
and the
ECC.
success
Okay.
factor employee center only. Now they are going to implement HANA.
Mhm.
There's a project going on there.
Okay. Very good. Very
So
good.
that-
Very good. Okay. Nice. So here we have all the things specific to, let's say, pay for performance, right? I think here, let me check it out. We are having a payroll related stuff or not. Pay for performance, generally it goes to a typical performance management side of it, right? We check it out. No, this is completely going towards the PMGM model, not your this thing.
Mhm.
But there are few things. But in your learning, you are already having a learning hub access, right? There also
Yeah,
you will
yeah.
be getting this kind of a simulation exercise. Let's say you want to give a, let's say you want to change something related to somebody's one-time deduction data, right?
Mhm.
Definitely you
Mhm.
can go here and this content will help you how to do all these things. So this is a how
Yeah,
to,
and
when I say
additional
all these
payment
things.
in success factor, adding in it, and
Yes, yes.
replicating the same in the SAP. And if you try
Replicating
to
these
delete,
things.
yeah, if you
Hmm,
delete the record from a specific date, it will delimit from the success SAP side, because in success factor
hmm.
there is no end date. We cannot do it. So if you delete it,
So
we can
based on your need. Yeah.
configuration. It will be
Hmm,
delimited in the SAP system. That is what
hmm,
which which is configured in
hmm.
our current organization.
Great, great. So that is good exposure. So you can share your experience with me as well. What you are doing,
Mhm.
how you are doing, what are the difficulties you're
Right,
facing. Because now you are having a two side. Okay. So you are into one side of as a business. Now you will be aspiring for the other side of the table, right? Typically
yeah,
you have
yeah.
to
But I don't
understand. So
have
both
access
the
to. But I don't have the access to it. I am only from HR. The
hmm,
permissibilities up and point of thing will come. But in our
understood,
QA
understood.
system, we
Hmm,
do have many access. That which I am not entertaining to do, to tell them, because if I
hmm,
said, they will ask me to do that and this and fight with the ITT.
hmm. It happens, not a problem. Okay, but this is wow, actually, how part all the things, operational things, as I was saying, right? Any kind of a
Mhm.
master data, you can see the admin center will be having payroll integration with
Mhm.
your EC data, your typical employee
Mhm.
master data, right? So
Mhm.
here we
Mhm.
will be having all those integrations, and here you will be anything if you have to change, and then after doing
That
that,
that
you may have
yeah,
to
yeah,
check.
I'm doing that one also. I'm auditing that one also. Data replicated model.
Great.
When I pull out a report from the failed ones, I'm manually checking each and every employees, what is
Hmm.
triggering it. I'm resolving
Hmm.
this individually. That is my one of my
Yes.
tasks in this current company.
Yes.
Data replication
Yes.
monitoring.
Yes. Now you are doing it. In the future,
Yeah.
actually, you have to teach it how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now you will be super confident in doing this because
Yeah.
already you have done that. Because probably if you
Yeah.
ask me, I have never done it because I have
Yeah,
never worked on that
ha
side of it.
yeah, I have done. There will be three kind of status: failed,
Yes.
pending, and successful. And yeah,
Failed in
and there will
progress. Yeah, this kind of thing.
progress kind of thing.
Mm,
For the failed ones, we have to
mm,
fix it. The pending will be kind of, it will be a position management
mm,
replication will be going on. Some kind of program will be
mm,
pending in queue kind of thing.
mm,
And
mm,
there will
mm,
be different kind of master data level will be differentiated. Absence, if there is a time data, there will be absence
mm,
master data, different data type.
mm,
There will be there. For the
mm,
replication point of view, there will be in the
mm.
BIP part, it is differentiated like that. For the P2P body, it is
Yes.
different. The body, it is different,
Yes.
entirely different.
Very true, very true. Yeah. So this is typical letter application monitor, and it is one of the key activities where payroll administrator or the payroll manager
Uh,
spends a lot of time. And if any issues, generally they could be coming
okay.
to the consultants.
Okay, I
So
have
that's the
never seen
thing.
this page. I have never seen this page. I have only seen that how to pull out the report from the replication monitor.
Okay, okay,
This I
okay.
have never seen.
And this is actually will go to the typical backend of it. So in the backend, this is
Back
how the cockpit will
back.
look like. Your
Uh-huh.
typical payroll cockpit, okay, in the
Uh-huh.
system
Uh-huh.
cockpit. And if you go to, which is
Mhm.
integrated already, and
Mhm.
inside that, if you have to check whether that particular person's, that particular
Mhm.
info type, that info
Well,
type
for type
15
is,
has been, you can verify here that whether it has been replicated or is expected or not. If it is not, then you
mhm.
have to check it out, right? So this
Mhm.
tutorial link I will be giving to you, which is again
Mhm.
from SAP. Okay, this is
Mhm.
will be helpful for you as you are already doing it, but still you can have
But
a
still,
glance on it.
yeah, I need it. I need it really. There is here
Yes,
and
I
there
will.
gap in between in my mind. What is going on the back
Hmm,
end? I don't know.
yeah,
In this
great.
picture,
So
it
I'll
says
just
what is
put.
going in the back end. I only know the front
Huh,
end,
huh. Yeah, now you'll be having a both back end and front end. Now you'll be
front
a
end
full
knowledge,
stack. Full
full
stack,
stack.
they
Yeah,
use it a term, right?
yeah. I
Developers
want
now
to be
use
like
full
that
stack
person,
payroll.
because my
Yes.
manager teases me, because I came from IT team, IT time consultant. They used
Hmm.
to tease me, because you are from IT, why you are taking so much time to fix this, even though I don't have the
Hmm.
access to it. I'm
Hmm.
from an end user. I have to fix everything. I have to talk with the IT team and get to know what is causing this error. How does the integration
Hmm.
works in from the SAP and EC point of
Hmm.
view? That needs to be checked.
Hmm.
What are the mandatory fields? What are not mandatory fields? Why the system is triggering non-mandatory fields in the replication monitoring
Hmm.
system? That kind of things.
Hmm. I understood, completely resonate with you because I am also interacting in my current role. Also, I'm interacting with the business, and they come with some XYZ questions. Sometimes I'm able to answer, sometimes not. So
Yeah.
I have to research. So this is the things which actually we will require. Okay. So from
Okay.
here, actually, you have to go to the task tutorials, and inside that, go to EC payroll, and in that two
Easy to
activities are there. And
Mhm.
also in the implementation point of view, I don't think there is an ECP related stuff. Okay, but
Mhm.
there is only the task tutorials they are having as present they are giving. Otherwise, the remaining things you will be getting in your learning hub. In the learning hub, you will
Okay.
be getting all those detailed stuff, right? So
Okay.
up to this, actually, I just thought of it's come to my mind, so I just thought of sharing with you. The operations means
Mhm.
actually this link which I have given to you. You follow that link. So
Uh-huh.
this is
Okay.
something you bookmark. And this notes
Mhm.
also I'll be sharing with you, whatever I'm making
Okay. Thank
in
you so
this
much.
app, right? Okay. So you
Okay.
don't have
Thank
to make any notes manually. So people do not have to spend time
you.
there.
Yeah.
You watch
Okay.
the recording. And also this
Okay.
note, what I will do after this session, I will be just making it a shareable, and I'll
Mhm.
be copying this link and I will be sharing
Uh,
this with you. Okay. So that you can
Okay.
also
Thank you
have a
so
look
much.
onto this. And you can also make your notes. Okay. For that, maybe you have to open an account with Notion app. Okay. This is
Mhm.
just a free tool. Okay. But it
Mhm.
is very good. I
Mhm.
have found it very useful for making notes and all. It's just like your Evernote
Okay.
or Google Keep. There's so many tools are available, but
Okay.
this type have
Okay.
easy to use. So this is
Okay.
from an
Okay.
operations point of view. Any questions on operations side of it?
No, nothing.
You
Nothing.
understood, right?
Please go. Yeah.
Already
Yes.
you're
Yes.
doing it. You're already
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah. I'm in
So
operation. I was in operation right now. I'm in operations. I'm already know it.
okay, okay. Now you're jumping into the next role, and more
Okay.
better role, right? So there is
Okay.
nothing
Yeah. Yeah.
better or more or less, but there is a
No,
difference actually.
nothing.
So
It's,
every
it's
job
all
has
about the
its own.
passion. What to do. What to do.
Yes,
It's about
yes,
all about
yes.
the passion.
Interest
What you
level.
need to do.
Yeah, yeah. What is your
I want
goal
to
and
become
what
a
you have to achieve
consultant.
it?
Yeah. I want to become a
So
consultant because
basically,
I love
all
it.
yes, it's all depends upon the aspirations and all, right? This is why. Okay. So now coming to the track number 4.
Mhm.
So today we will stop in the 4, 5, 6 only because it will take a lot of time. So I will maybe I will stop after 4. Okay. If you're getting tired or something, just let me know
No,
because I
no,
have a
no, 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 no. I don't. I don't. I don't. If it comes to SAP, I don't. My wife used to
okay.
say,
Yeah.
"You just stay there." Even in New Year, at the end of the year, also, I was sitting in front of the SAP instead of
Okay.
cracking the fireworks. I was simply sitting in front of the SAP. What to do with it?
Yeah, yeah. Understood. I understood completely. I remember one of the projects which used to in 2014. It was my one of the major Indian implementation. So my
Mhm.
client used to call, we are because we are going live in the month of week January, February, one in that part of time. But the 31st December, 1st of January also they have worked and literally they have a renamed SAP actually. They called Sab Aadmi Pareshan. In Hindi,
New Year
so
go live. New Year go live.
even to live, yeah. They used to like it's very different experience, but it happens because SAP comes up with its own thing, right? Challenges and all. It's not even if
Mhm.
you're giving everything, but it is a very from a tool point of view, it you take care of everything
Mhm.
whenever we are coming to implementations and all. So now coming to implementation strategy or typical implementation, actually what we do generally. So in a typical, we follow the methodology activate that is
Mhm.
recommended by SAP, right?
Mhm.
And there is a separate sessions, or you can go through a lot of documentations are there around activate methodology, which is required for a, and we follow in that we have a 3 iterations. Typically in the clients we follow, right? 3 iterations. Some organizations they call it a sprint in if they're following agile terminologies, both are same,
Mhm.
sprints, iterations and all. And before that, in the 3 iterations, we will be having something called, we call it generally discovery workshop, where
Mhm.
exactly you are interacting with the client for the first time, right? That we generally call a discovery workshop to understand the client. And generally, we do not take a requirement like typical SAP. In the SAP has CM, we used to do a typical SAP methodology, but here we are not using that. So here the understanding is we don't have to take requirement from scratch, rather go with the best practice, whatever the
Available
tools,
now.
so whatever the and understand the difference, how the client's requirement, how they are doing different something. Capture those differences. Okay.
Mm.
So somebody will be in your team, or you might be capturing those requirements in terms of a differences, how they are different. Okay.
Mhm.
Definitely, you have to capture those things. During that, your work will be coming to picture. And it is recommended to follow the standard workbook which is offered by SAP. And in that, you can tweak it. It is not, SAP doesn't say that you have to 100% use it, but based on your
So
need, based on
where
your
to get it?
client requirement.
From where to get it? This workbook. I have seen too many
So
people
this,
using it.
this workbook you will be getting in your partner delivery community. Okay. You'll be getting those documentations there. And from an implementation guide point of view, you will be getting it from the help.sap.com.
I have
So this is a
requested many
typical.
consultants for this, but none of them given me. I have seen it because
No,
in the wage type
I will be
configuration,
giving to you. I
the
will be
wage type
giving to you.
configuration type, right?
Actually, I will be giving to you. This is a typical. How does it look like? I will also say you ECP workbook. Exactly, this is from a Saudi, one of the Saudi implementation I have done. Very close to your requirement. It will be like that.
I had a call from Saudi payroll team.
One of the
They
project
have
which
a
I have worked for
yeah,
is
you work okay,
similar.
good.
I worked for a EC payroll for a Saudi client. This is something I can say. So this is how, let me, okay. So I logged into a Google Drive. So let me, right. This is a typical workbook for a ECP, and you can customize as per your client need. Okay. And here we will be having this kind of structure will be like this: master data. It is actually a joint effort of your EC consultant as well as your ECP, because many of things the data will be driven by EC, right? Your EC data, EC events, all these things will be coming from your that EC consultant. Okay, and he will be guiding you how to fill these things. And in each and every event, what are the data point? Okay, what are the payroll data point? You to understand. So this is like here, I can see, you can see that for every event I have captured like this. So these are the event region, and whether it is there any
Yeah,
payroll related data, pay
like
data
for a
where
testing.
which are the event, which are the data where exactly the payroll related changes are happening. If it's a promotion, if it is a like any revision or an increment, or you are doing any kind of market adjustment, okay, to retain the employees, you can do all those things, right? So these are different scenarios just to give
This
an this
this
is a
thing I
live
have already done. This thing I already done when I had a when I was a part of global assignee, the global assignee project. I have done this for every kind of scenario picking up. I differentiated based on the event level. So same kind of thing. The one which you mentioned, like left side, I have created in an Excel, and the client was happy with
Yes,
it. I was created
yeah,
for
yeah.
salary employees, hourly employees, kind of thing, contract employees. There were three kind of employees. The employee
Exactly.
subgroup
So
level.
it is very helpful if you're documenting this in a very granular level, right? Whenever you will be downloading a report also, it will be very clear that the payroll changed because for XYZ reason, right? And also whenever there is an audit, if you think about an audit point of view, if there is payroll audit is happening, right? Definitely you should be able to pull out this kind of reports, okay? And definitely you should be able to say this many changes happened due to this event region change, this many payroll changes happened, right? So it is always better to have a workbook as detailed as possible. Right? So this is from an EC event point of view. From a time implication point of view, what kind of leaves you are having in your organizations, right? Because it is an whenever there is a paid leave or unpaid leave, okay, it has an implication on your payroll, right? Whether it is a half day or full day. If it is a half day, and again, it has an implication on your payroll, right? If it is an unpaid leave, definitely there will be a salary cut, right? So these are all the implications on this. So it also has to capture here from an EC time of point of maybe if you're implementing during this implementation, you have to talk to your EC time consultant, maybe, right? Whenever it is
The
needed, right?
integration, yeah, integration should work perfectly
Yes,
from both
yes,
sides.
yes. So that is something, yes, yes, yes. So that is something you have to take care. Similarly, now coming to the pay groups. So here you will be having your, this is a typical, from an EC point of view, you have to think, suppose you're having multiple companies, multiple entities you are having, then again, you will be having, let's say which will be a parent company and which, if it is not, then you just leave it,
Got it.
right? So
Got
pay
it.
group companies, basically set of
Yeah,
employees,
one.
which in the same
Yeah,
company.
multiple legal entity belongs to one payroll area, and multiple based on the
Yes,
location level, it might be
yes,
segregated in one payroll area level,
yeah.
or else the weekly, monthly payroll basis also. If it is a weekly
Hmm.
or monthly kind of thing,
Hmm.
that will be differentiated at the
Hmm.
payroll area level.
Exactly. How the payroll is run, how the frequency of the payroll is monthly
Frequency,
or
frequency
weekly
of the
or
weekly.
why it will be bi-weekly. So that is again based on that you have to capture all these things. So this is again a discussion point. You have to discuss. First of all, you have to explain what does it mean and how does it
Mhm.
look like and what is the meaning of it. What are some of the simple examples, and we can talk to the client accordingly, because these are the some things which is an outcome of your WhatsApp. Whatever the WhatsApp will be conducting with the clients, right? Definitely you have to discuss all these things. It will go as an input for an implementation, right?
Mhm.
Like, I mean, the pay grade is very common. Every organization, they will be having a definitely some pay grade, level one, level two,
Mhm.
level three, or pay
Level two,
grade
level
one,
two.
two, three, four, depending
We do
upon
have, we
level.
do have,
And then,
we do have.
uh, and and here we do not capture the range actually. So the range will be captured in the compensation module. Compensation module is designed.
Compensation module.
uh,
Yeah, yeah, I know.
so if your client asks for that, do not say that you have got that to do that. They must be having a compensation model in place. Here we talk about only the transaction part. Okay, what are the
So
payroll transaction?
how do we how do we know if it a compensation module is activated in an employee center or not? How do we know that? As an end user, how do we know that?
As an end user, you have to see those transactions, whether it is you are able to see those transactions. Okay, compensation related transactions. Suppose if I go to a tutorial, you'll be able to identify. Suppose if I'm having a compensation related stuff, okay, you should be able to do all this. Check it out whether you are having this.
Mhm.
There is an option here. Okay, total compensation planning, salary integration with
Mhm.
the PMGM or Employee Central, right? And also there
Performance
is a
management, there is not. Nothing
ha
is
ha.
performance
So
management not activated for in our system. There is
okay,
only base pay, and three layer of three elements are there. Base pay,
okay.
which is
Hmm.
the standard salary, 60% of it will be,
Hmm.
and the HR
Hmm.
and the TA, the other elements also. Nothing apart from that.
Okay.
And even the one-time
Okay.
payment is stored inside the compensation. I don't know why they are doing it. Instead of there is a
Mhm.
separate category portlet
Mhm.
for one-time payment for IT15, they are storing the one-time payment inside the compensation. I don't know why they are confident like.
You have to just ask that. So
Yeah.
definitely you should understand, because there might be some purpose. Okay, you do not know, right? So that you have to talk to them. You will be understanding from that point only. Okay, so that is not a problem. But you have to understand. But if you want to check it out, just check it out. This four simulations from
Sure,
here,
sure,
total
sure.
compensation plan.
I'll check it
Just
out.
check it out and see those screens. If it is appearing, then you are doing.
Hmm.
You are already in place. There's already so many things are compensation, the
Okay.
form, incentive payout, all
Incentive
the things
payout.
will be here. So all the things are there. Okay, if you have to do some adjustment also, everything will be there. But it's more of a planning point of view. Whenever from a salary point of view, if I talk about the ECP, so here actually this is a one-time activity. So these pay grades,
Mhm.
unless until if you are introducing any new grade, this configuration doesn't change. These are
Mhm.
all
Mhm.
one time during your
One
implementation,
time
one time
duration
activity.
time.
And unless and until there is any revision, or unless and until there is any new introduction of a new pay grade, or you are removing some pay grades, okay, unless and until doing
Mhm.
that, then it doesn't change it. Okay, so this is
Okay.
where exactly you have to. And also, this is a kind of you say, as I say, it is a unique code, and it will be helping you to fix the salary ranges and the range of
Salary ranges.
amount. So whenever they are working a particular level, particular grade, okay, so you have to fill up all these details about it. And it is a repercussion to your compensation module, where exactly you have
Mhm.
defined in compensation module, you go more detail, you define their salary range, compare ratio, minimum salary, maximum salary, what's the range of
Mhm.
that particular,
Mhm. I have seen
all
it.
those
I have seen
details.
it. Even in the position manager, I have seen it. This minimum value, maximum value, salary range. Why they are maintaining at the position level? Why it is required for maintaining at the
Yeah,
position level?
we have given an option that's an indicative. Whatever they are getting in
Yeah.
the position management is indicative. But the more details you will be having in your compensation module, where
Compensation
exactly
module. Okay.
from a compensation planning point of view, right? That will be helpful. But whenever you're seeing it from a position management point of view, suppose I'm a hiring manager, right? I should understand what is my budget. I will
Mhm.
see
Oh,
if my budget,
understanding the budget.
understanding the
Minimum to max. Yeah.
budget, minimum maximum, if it is falling into that budget, then I will be
Based on
doing
that,
some
they will talk. Based on
uh,
that, they will target market. They will
uh,
do the that talk.
yes, do the all
Okay.
this recruiting planning, all this number game they will play. Because if you do not have
Uh-huh.
a budget, then you can have a request, purchase request for a new hire, right? If you are not
Uh-huh.
having a budget in your department, many of the organizations they follow department wise budget they will be having, right? Suppose I have to hire someone in my finance
Mhm.
team, suppose I have to hire someone in my procurement team, definitely I should have a budget, annual budget, and should that if it is fitting my budget, then I'll be hiring, right? Then accordingly,
No.
you have to plan it, right? So then
No.
everything, whatever in SAP you will be seeing, right? Definitely there is a reason. Okay? Definitely there is some reason. They have thoughtfully means they have given a lot of thoughts into it, found a lot of thoughts into that, right? Definitely you'll be having, but this kind of a conversation definitely will be helpful for me as well. Suppose if I do not know something, that's also I'll explore it, right? So this is something we capture here in the pay grade data point of view. Then next one is typically your, as I say, here also we have an option. Okay, in the pay range data here also we have an option to capture all these things, and also it can be captured in your typically compensation module as well, right? So this is again you have from an indicative point of view to understand, okay, whether it's a frequency minimum monthly or it is not, or minimum maximum midpoint. Okay, all these things pay range we capture here. Similarly, the next one is like this is a more detailed pay component group data. Basically, here you will be maintaining whether it
The
whether you are
value
to go so
based on the
probably, all the details, compensation details only. This is again, it will be a dual activity. Like whatever you are being capturing here, it will also have an input to your compensation data. In the whenever you will be doing a compensation module implementation, you don't have to repeat the same thing. This data we can directly send it to a compensation consultant. They will be happy to configure without any other again asking the same thing to the clients, right? So it will be helpful in that scenario. Now coming to, so these are all details you will be, this is a typical, I will not be going through detail, but I will recommend to go through all this. Most of them are, means you'll be able to understand because already you have worked in payroll earlier a little bit. So definitely it's very easy to understand. Or starting from there to waste time mapping also you can see for all this
GL mapping, yeah, costing where happens.
costing mapping in Saudi, they do have a GOSI and all these things you will be seeing there. So all the details you will be finding here, the waste time to GL mapping. From a F5 posting point of view, what are the message type, what are the target source, what is the target system, all the typical technical stuff also it will be, you'll be finding here. Okay, these things you may not have to ask to the customer because this is something for you. Okay, this is something which for you and for your information, and also whenever you are talking to a technical consultant, right? Suppose you are to introduce some kind of a workflow, some kind of a reporting, some kind of a customization if you are to do, then this will be a hand easy to follow document. What kind of those application link enabling scenarios are there? Those details will be very helpful for you, mostly in that scenarios. For a finance posting, we'll be seeing all
What
the
is
details.
ALE scenario? What is the full form of it? ALE scenarios.
ALE is a typical technical term from a SAP ABAP point of view, which is called an application link enable. So this is which
Link
I did
enable.
it 12 years back. Okay, so I will be just giving, we have a concept called ALE IDOC. Okay, ALE IDOC in SAP ABAP. So if I give you something, you will not be able to understand, but I will tell you ALE ABAP from a functional consultant point of view. There is a very nice document you'll be finding here. So I will
Please do
recommend
share.
to
Please do
that.
share. Please do share everything. Please do share.
Because this kind
I
of
love this kind of thing.
because these things will be helpful whenever you're talking to a typical your technical consultant. They expect you to speak this language, right? Otherwise, if you do not understand, then it will be very difficult to
Yeah.
start a conversation with them, right? So there is a specific document I'm not finding here, but I will be sharing this with you. I'm just making a note of it, right? So these are yeah, this is the thing. I got it. IDOC basics. Okay, IDOC basics, and there is a for a functional consultant, they have explained very easy to read kind of a stuff. Okay, what is an IDOC? You have to understand. IDOC is nothing but your intermediate document. Whenever you're sending one document to one system to another system, right? This is a typical document flow happens inside this, and this is also applicable for our EC payroll as well as of now. Okay, so because still we are having those on-premise, we talk to an on-premise system like S4HANA, that is not a purely cloud system, right? So you, if you are not, unless and until if you are using a purely cloud S4HANA, right? So these things will be, you have to understand this terminology. What is a partner profile? What is in one of some of the videos I also speak about it, but we should understand what is a partner profile, what is a port, what is a process code. So this document will be very much helpful for you. So I will just put it in.
So in the cloud, these things will not be there. This is not required.
In
Cloud, it
cloud,
will be.
even if you're having a cloud, right? Few things still, it is as I was saying, right? EC payroll is not a purely cloud system. Right? So it is still we are utilizing the backend of our payroll engine of our
Payroll
on-premise
engine,
consultant.
yeah.
So
Success
still
Factor
it will
doesn't have a
continue.
payroll engine itself.
So it doesn't have its own native payroll engine, right? So definitely, unless and until SAP is coming up with a new some solutions like that, which is a purely cloud payroll, until that time, you have to wait. Okay, so still this process will continue unless and until tomorrow SAP is coming up with a new solution. Still, as we speak in 2023, January. So this is the current status. Maybe in the future it is subject to. SAP doesn't say now. At least next 2 years it is not there. But maybe after 2 years, you do not know what will happen. So, but it is good to understand. This is from a typical documentation point of view. So this document again, I will be
Sharing.
sharing
Okay,
with you.
thank you so much. I
I
was
will be
hunting for this
sharing.
document. I was hunting for this
Uh,
document everywhere.
uh,
In LinkedIn, whenever I
yeah.
get connected with any consultant, I ask them for first thing, do you have the workbook of any project? Can you share it with me?
Yeah, yeah. No worries. So these are all, this is why we are here. So I will be helping you on all kind of documents because this is something consultants is a job. Your configuration doesn't take any much time. It will just 20% of your time it will take your typical implement. But this 80% you have to focus on this kind of a documenting, collaborating,
Process,
influencing your talking to the
process,
customer, understanding their pain
stakeholder.
points. So those things actually will stand out. Otherwise, there are thousands of consultants in the market. How will you stand out in the market, right? These are some of the key soft skills which I learned over it. Even I was not a perfect, even not now I'm a perfect, but this is something which I learned from my experience actually. So this is something which I thought of sharing with you. Yeah? So this is from a typical your implementation point of view. Workbook will be your driver. You have to drive those discussions and you have to fill up in this workbook. And this workbook is a live document. Do not think that this is like a rubber stamp. This is a live document. Every time you do an iterations, every iteration it will be a subject to change.
Change it.
Even if
Change
you,
it. Got it.
even if yeah, even if you'll be having a version, so you have to do a version management also. Version 1, version 2, version 1.2, 1.3 like that,
Yeah, got it.
right?
Got it.
So basically, once even if you're going live, so let's say you are going live in
Based on the
April.
milestone, it will be to
Based on
another
milestone.
version.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Say we are having now 2H release. Next year we'll be having 1H
One is
2023,
it.
2H 2023. There will be some changes. If it is, you have to understand the requirement, understand what SAP changed, whether it is impacting your payroll. If yes, again you have to change the workbook. It is a live document every 6 months. You have to revise. Okay, so it will keep on changing.
Device
So you have to keep an old version as well. Again,
version.
you have a copy to, and have a new version. And so it is not like a typical business blueprint where you signed off everything and you have to. That becomes like a Bible for that for everything. So
Yeah,
it's not like that. It's a ever live document. Every 6 months you
yeah,
have to, if it is required, if you're a stakeholder again, they have to sign off every 6 months.
yeah.
Or maybe your
Whenever a new wage day
uh,
comes in, it will increase. The size will increase of the file,
anything,
and the
any
payroll
changes,
also. Any changes?
any any changes you are doing it, just capture in the documents and you get it signed off. And typically it will keep on changing and all. So typically we follow this workbook style. And when it comes to the implementation guide, always refer the live guide from the SAP, where you will be getting help.sap.com. And for that, you just need an SUser ID. Using your SUser ID, you can do it. And go to HR
I do have
engagement from that core HR and payroll. And here, go to this
WSL.
one, SAP Success Factor,
Okay.
April Central Payroll. It's now the navigation is super easy compared to the earlier one. But if you see here, we have a lot of documentations here. Download everything. You may or may not need it, but download. Even I will be providing if you need. But you can, if you're having a user ID, definitely you will be able to download it. So there is a download PDF option on the right hand side. Click that and all select everything. Select all like that. Okay, it will be a zip file once you click it, or in the below you will select all page. There will be 7 zip file. Okay, so the main guide will be this one, implementing
Okay.
April Central.
Implemented.
This is your main guide. Okay, the remaining was actually optional. So suppose
Okay.
something you will be so you will be signing. So once you log in, it will allow you. If you are, it is not a free access. You can see it is locked. Okay, it's not for a. If wherever you can see a lock, right? These are all actually you need a definite and user ID. Otherwise, you will not be able to download it. Okay, so keep and download of all these things. And sometimes what happens, even after downloading, so many times SAP also do the changes live in this document. Okay, so every time. Okay, so if you go to this
So
particular document.
so there are
Hmm,
two kind of S user for the normal
hmm,
S user who are consultant, and the
hmm.
other S user who got certified through the partner. partner companies. Yes, sir.
Anyone you can utilize it. Anyone you can utilize it. But if you are having if you are working for a partner community, they will be having a different,
different
which will be having
access, right?
more access. There is something called Partner Edge portal.
Right.
So you'll be getting some additional access, some additional materials you'll be getting. But this will be helpful more than enough for any kind of implementation. So if you go to the partner's implementation guide again, so you will be having those details about all those documentation. So this is a one go-to guide where we depend and rely on this document, right? And always see the version of it. How to understand the version? You will be getting that from here itself. If you go to here, SAP EC Payroll, so you can see there is a release
2H,
2H
latest,
right?
previous one.
During the implementation, check the recent one, and from that you get into those detailed documentation. We have a lot of categories like implementation category. This is the implementation category. Suppose you are looking under implementation category, all the best practices. This is also I would recommend download all these things. Okay, like one is for your EC payroll, another one is your payroll control center. These two documents previously it was somewhere else. Now they have integrated with the same page. You can download from here. Okay. So when I say best practices, you will be getting everything, including a test script also. You don't have to do it from scratch.
Wow.
So
I was
the
never
kind of
that.
kind of details, I see people struggle. They waste their time, but who know it, they will be very intelligent. They will be go here and
Go
they will
here
be
and download
just
it.
download everything.
Copy,
Everything
yeah,
everything. Even if you see the workbook also they have moved here. Earlier it was somewhere else. Okay, now you can download workbook also. If you are having a user ID, you can also download. Although it is an USA version, so whatever is relevant for you, like Web Step catalog, they might be having the garnishment and remove that. Only use whatever it required. Okay, so all the workbooks also you'll be finding in the best practice category. Okay, workbook, your configuration guide. Okay, end to end, how it is different from your implementation guide. Configuration guide is very specific. Okay, suppose if you want to do an integration with the EC, okay, so you might have stuck whenever you're reading the whenever you're reading the implementation guide, that is very detailed. Okay, there are also theory to understand, but here there is no theory as such. Directly they will pinpoint, okay, what configurations you have to do in the SAP EC side, what configuration you have to do in the EC payroll side. So from EC payroll side, these are the different step-by-step configuration. You do a key mapping, you have to do a data type, these are the way step processing you have to do step by step. It is very granular, very specific, okay, very pinpointed, right? So you will be finding all the configuration guide. It is a subset of your implementation guide. Implementation guide it covers your theory part as well. Okay, but here you will be finding the typical configuration block, what to do in all these details, and in case if any reference, they give an SAP note also. Suppose you have some integration and stuff and all, then they will point you to a SAP note where you will be downloading that note. And nowadays, the documentation wise, I will say they are the number one. Because I also work with the Oracle, Workday, and all other stuff, right? But the kind of the way they have documented, I will definitely appreciate the SAP team, the way the kind of effort they have put it here. This year, at least, they've done a lot of because a lot of complaints also gone. Now they are consolidating and they are not doing a very good job. Okay, so now similarly from this is a configuration guide, you will be getting all the configuration guide. Similarly from a workbook, all the test scripts also you'll be getting. You don't have to apply your brain.
Okay, so these are the things you already downloaded, right? Because I can see it from downloads.
It is there, but actually this is again every time they change it, right? I have to always see all these things. So
same.
Definitely I will be putting all the because SAP it is there, but actually
can you replicate that replicate apps and data, because that part is which I'm struggling with. Currently, I'm monitoring replicate apps and data, which I'm not able to understand. Which I'm not able to understand. There is a collision kind of error is happening, and the operations the manager is keep asking me what is going beyond this kind of scenarios. I don't collision.
So in the replication data, we have this kind of procedure. Suppose there are different scenario also.
Absence type, scenarios in a different absence.
See, based on if it is absence related, this is how you should actually do all these things. They have given these options, right? So there is an automation. They're saying it is an automated. So in case it is a no manual stuff, if it is automated one, okay. So if there is a manual intervention, then they will be giving that detail about it. Here there is a manual intervention for time of, right? So they are giving a step by step. Okay, wherever there is an automation, so they are not giving that options. Okay, and if you want to see
Okay.
access data, here how to see it and all details they have given here. Okay, so this document definitely will be helpful for you. Okay, but
Yeah,
again,
sure.
I'm saying that it will be whenever it may vary in your organizations. If it's something is vary, just customize it. Right? But this is starting point. You don't have to do something from scratch, right? This is something handy available, and you just develop over on top of this, right? Whatever you will be doing any kind of a documentation, this is very easy nowadays, right? This is from a test script point of view. I think this is all the kind of document they are giving. So, right, this is something from a typical best practice point of view. So they have given two best practice category. One is for EC payroll, and the specific to inside EC payroll, they have a your PCC payroll control center specific thing they have given here. Okay. That is from implementation point of view. Integration point of view, it is an optional. If you are having Kronos, you can refer this guide. Otherwise, skip it. If you're, I think this is for US payroll. Yes, you don't have a BSI in everywhere. This is for US
BSI, yeah,
specific.
US payroll.
Uh-huh.
And I know
Okay,
when the forms are submitted, that it will be automatically
Hmm.
get into the system updated, and so SAP
True,
will
true, true.
replicate that. It is a different kind of
Yeah.
thing. Apart from the body,
Hmm.
apart from the body, this
Hmm.
engine is there. BSI.
Hmm.
Add-in
Exactly.
feature of SAP SuccessFactors.
Yes,
I used
yes,
to
yes.
I
So
used
they
to be
don't
working
require
with
as
the
of
yes
now.
client.
Great, great, nice to know that. So similarly, the operate part actually, this is at present not here. This is something not required as of now for you. For you, the focus area is the implementation, this one only. Okay, implementing EC payroll is the main guide, and the remaining one based on your need. Okay, if you're utilizing, let's say, time guide, time and all, you can utilize it. Otherwise, it is not required. And migration point of view, also, this is again, if you need it, like whenever if you're having Boomi, or if you're having any other things, then you can utilize. Otherwise, you can skip it. Even I never gone through this because I have never used Boomi. Okay? So whatever is needed, there are so many documentation, but we don't have to refer everything. Whatever is needed. Okay. This is something which generally
So
typical implementation consultant.
why there is a need of Boomi when there is bodies there? Bodies
No, no,
pre-built
Bhumi
body.
actually, many of the old clients, whenever Bhumi was a part of our SAP ecosystem, now Bhumi is separated. Now Bhumi is no more a part of it because we have our own integration, BTP,
Integration system.
business
Yeah,
technology
BTP.
platform, business technology platform we have, which is previously we are using CPI and all, but nowadays everything is a BTP and we call it SAP integration suite. Whatever it was called SAP CPI, now it is called SAP integration suite. So that we use it. So previously, whenever the organization, the client is still using Boomi and they want to plan to move to a new system, then they can utilize this kind of scenario. So it's very rare case, okay, but not
But
needed
but in
for you.
but in this page,
Hmm.
none of them have BTP mentioned anywhere. Why it is not there an ECP solution? BTP is not required
No, no. In this scenario,
because
what
in
happens
the
generally,
integration.
if in the client is already having Boomi, they would like to remove Boomi and they would like to go for BTPs and all. So how they
Okay.
will migrate, how will we deal with that? Those kind of
Okay.
scenarios generally covered here. Yeah. So
Okay.
again,
Okay. Got
from
it.
not every time you will use it, but depending upon the customer scenario, they have just given this documentation and all.
Okay.
But
Okay.
in case
Got
of
it.
BTP, this is very much standard. BTP has a lot of simplifications, right? So you don't have to do all these typical things and all. Okay, they have a lot of simplifications, which you'll be getting in your implementation guide in details. They cover it actually. Okay, so this is something which I will say recommend. And the right hand side, whenever you say there are communities portal, and these are all in migration page, we will be knowing better all this in the next 2 to 3 days because they are in all migrating. Previously, what used to happen, there is a community for your clients, which is known as the community.successfactor.com. There is another community for partner, the implementation partner who are doing, they have their own communities.
Access.
Now they are consolidating. Now SAP has its own community again. There are three communities now, but now they are
Too many.
consolidating everything. Now they are actually what SAP success factor communities. Now they are consolidating into a main community, which will be going to a SAP community directly, SAP community directly, SCM, okay, which is actually
Okay.
was my
Better.
I used to in the past I used to do almost everyday post, almost whatever the queries because
Blog.
I never had a mentor. Now you have a mentor like me, but I never had a mentor. I had to learn it a very hard way. So everything was a virtual mentor. So I was learning from here. Somebody posted. Somebody I
Yeah,
in the
somebody
past I have
answer
posted a
will
lot
be
of
answered. Yeah. Me too. I have
So all the
whenever I stuck with something,
so,
I will go first. I will go
uh,
in there and check it.
yes,
Same kind
yes.
of error
So all
someone is
the
having, and
uh, yes, 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 yes. So all the groups now they have moved into the groups actually. So if you see here, everything now
uh-huh.
has been a group here. They call it based on your
Okay.
interest. Nowadays, I'm not everywhere, but actually depending upon my interest, I'm more into the enterprise architecture. So I'm
Mhm.
interested in the into that enterprise architecture groups and all. Based on the activities, you can also join the groups and all. So there are so many groups, learning
Yeah,
groups,
I
documents.
have I have requested most of them, but some of them I have
Uh,
accepted it. Some of them did not. I don't know
uh,
why.
uh, uh,
That means
yes,
not
yes. So
it's not willing.
actually, you will be having this kind of a groups, SAP learning
Oh
groups,
yeah,
and all
yeah.
these things will be. But this is something now there is a migration action still it is going on, so we do not have to touch
Mhm.
now. Maybe after the
Oh, okay.
8th or 9th. So January 8th till
Mhm.
there is no activity. So maybe after 2 to 3 days we can have access to it. But this is very handy because you cannot solve everything of your own, right? In a typical project, which
Mhm.
also from my experience, right? You can have to take help from different sources, and this is one of the key sources where our other consultants from the similar geography, similar people, okay, so they will be able to help you. And also, so before raising any ticket to SAP, we have to understand, we should take leverage all these groups because SAP also doesn't answer everything sometimes,
Mhm.
right? So they will be saying it's a consulting issue, you have to solve yourself. It is not a product issue. Unless and until you have to understand how you have, because they will not be giving you that kind of a support at the
Okay,
consulting level.
okay.
They are good at a product.
Uh,
They will say this product can do, this product can do that, but they will not say
uh,
that what will happen if you do this.
uh,
They will not say that, right? This is
but
something we have
but
to
but but
really.
later they will say that it will be fixed in our S note, that note.
Yeah, yeah. They will be because they're also learning from the clients. This is also
Yeah.
because they're not superhuman, right? It's ultimately at the end of the day the product, right? And the product has to
Okay.
evolve over a period of time, right?
Okay.
And they
Yeah.
do that, right? This is a job of a product manager. That is why they get paid, right? Now with this note, I think if I go to the my that main seat from a typical implementation guide point of view, I have explained that you have to handle, you should understand how to handle a workshop. Another important thing I forgot to say, your PTO guide. So before, whenever you're starting a project, you should understand project team orientation. This is again, this guide you will be finding in the your learning hub. Okay, so
Mhm.
this guide will be there, and this is a guide. A customer is a customer facing guide. Okay, when I say customer facing guide, actually very easy to understand. I will just show you how a typical PTO guide looks like. PTO guide, yeah, PCP PTO guide. Yeah. So it is a customer facing just to understand the product actually. So this is called the project team orientation guide, where whenever you are explaining to a customer before you conduct any workshop, it is not a recommendation by SAP, but I follow this principle. Suppose I'm having a workshop on, let's say, today is 7th of January. Let's say my workshop is on 1st of February. Before 15 days, okay, by 2 weeks at least before that, I'll be sending this document, okay, to the client saying that we will be discussing over this. Just have to go through at high level. They may not be able to understand everything, but the key terminologies, what kind of terminologies you'll be using in the workshop, at least they should be familiar themselves. It is a kind of a pre-read. Some organization they use it called pre-read. Before conducting any meeting or workshop, we give some pre-read. Before that, you have to read all through these documents, at least to understand what SAP does it. At least, even if you do not understand each and every point, but understand what SAP can do, okay, what SAP cannot do, what kind of roles are available. So you have to, again, because the clients will be having their own vocabulary. If you speak your
Mhm.
own vocabulary, and they should be able to relate to it, right? This
Mhm.
is a
Mhm.
just to make yourself, the clients aware that they should know, understand. These are the typical labels: payroll manager, payroll administrator,
Three
like
kind
that.
of
But they may be
three
having
kind
their
of route.
own terminology. They should be able to relate to it. So that is why we generally introduce or share this kind of documents with client. I generally follow this. It makes your life easier on the day one. Suppose whenever you are
Mhm.
conducting the workshop, they're already aware of this kind of terminologies if you've gone through the document very carefully. Okay, so that will very life make your life easy. And if it is needed, also you can take a walkthrough, maybe 15 minutes, 30 minutes before your actual call, so that they will be able to understand those few terminologies before you conduct your actual
Mhm.
workshop. So that's a typical advice. Just some hack which I generally follow, so that it,
Mhm.
to make a smooth workshop in the day one, so that it
Mhm.
will be very easy.
Mhm.
You don't have to go from beginning and all. Right? So that is a typical process I follow. And iteration, as you know, like every iteration, generally in the first iteration we target generally we scope it. Okay, so like suppose iteration 1, IT1, generally we target to showcase the at least 50-60%, whatever the from a project point of view, try to showcase as much as possible. In the type iteration 2, generally we capture 90%, 90 to typical project 90 to 95%. And in the third iteration, we keep it minimal because we have a very less time. And also, you should not encourage client to change much. Generally, the client requirements should not change too much in the third iteration. Otherwise, it will be a very heavy workload on you. Okay. So whatever you do, keep it within iteration 1 and iteration 2 maximum thing. 93 should be just for your testing point of view. Generally, your testing and training will happen from there, from that milestone point of view, right? And for every iteration, you keep a separate version of the one page I have already discussed. And the next iteration, whenever you're doing iteration number 2, do not start from the beginning. Rather, you say that is already we have covered. Some whatever the not have been covered in the first iteration, maybe you can showcase the remaining stuff and all. And another point is here, involve client from beginning. Do not wait till third iteration that those things that client will be testing the thing. Involve clients from the beginning. If it may be a 1 user or 2 user from beginning, so that they will be getting confidence on their system from the day 1. Okay, they will be able to test it, whatever is needed. Once your iteration is over, so their clients will be able to perform those things in the system, right? This is something which generally clients, consultants, they do not do it. They do it at the iteration 3, but number of issues, number of defects will be increased if you do not follow this process. This is nothing. SME also doesn't say it.
It will delay the go live. It will delay the go live.
Delay the go live, and also a lot of implications will be there. Involve client from the beginning and have a communication with from the beginning. Iteration 1 itself. Once your iteration
parallel
is
test will be there.
So that the parallel test.
So the parallel testing will be done at the same time.
Yes. There is no harm in giving the access to from the iteration 1. Once your iteration 1 is done, it is also kind of a training. Your training effort also will be reduced. Your testing effort also will be reduced. If you are giving such early access, we generally call it early access. We give it early access to the client so that whatever you have done, let's say to 15th of February is the first iteration. You are done. 16th of February, you give it the access to the client. So suppose your next iteration on 15th of March. During that 1 month of period, client might have done that thing 20 times. So that he or she will be very much confident about the system.
Confident about the system.
Delta changes or extra changes, whatever you are coming, that you explain, right? So that your life will be easy. Okay, generally, I made my life easy such a way in this by following this kind of tips which I'm sharing with you. Make it easy because this kind of things only comes from my experience, and it doesn't say it is not mentioned any implementation guide or any YouTube video. You'll not be getting all this, right? This is something I generally privately whenever I take the sessions. This is something which I share with every student.
But I do have one thing. But usually from the first and second iteration, there will be a testing team separately from the end user who is actually going to use it in production, and there will be a separation testing team consist of in my company there was a testing team. Around 34 members was there, which involved is kind of particular in this subject, in this activity. So none of the operations team will not be involved. Only there will be the payroll manager will be in the call, the daily call. So they won't be able to access the system at the if they had that kind of testing on that milestone, they could have been trained on the QA system itself.
Yeah, actually, this again depends upon the project manager. Actually, it is not given to everyone. Whenever I'm saying this thing, usually we give it to super user, not everyone, because everybody will test, they will damage the system. Whatever they okay. So maybe you will not be getting all the best thing. Generally, keep it simple. Only give it to 1 or 2 people who are the key decision maker. Okay, you understand? You are in your project. He or she is the decision maker, and he should be just pick the top one. Okay, so who will be confident? Who will be your giving a final sign off of your workbook? Keep that 1 or 2 person. We make him or her as your friend, best friend, and just give that access and make interaction with them, a daily discussion or whatever, and give that access, early access to only them, not everyone. I understand in every big project we have a testing team and all. It is not for them. It is only to the key stakeholder who are the decision maker. Because we talk to the decision maker who will be giving finally our sign off. Because unless even if those 30 people who are testing, if that particular person who is having more influence, more power on that project, Okay, you have to play the game actually here. Okay, so unless and if you are taking that approval or taking that early approval, early engagement with those people, stakeholders, it is very difficult. Even I have faced the same
Yeah,
challenges in 2014, 15 when I was doing. I was not aware of because my manager was doing all these things, activities and all. Everything will happen, but at the end they will not sign up. They will say, no, it is not happening, not that is
yeah,
not
yeah.
happening.
There are defects.
Right.
These much defects pending from our side, their side, our side.
Thousands of calls. They have a lot of reasons to justify to you. Do not fall into that trap, right? So this is something which I actually came from my experience. I just thought of sharing with you. But this is a typical process we follow. After iteration three, it is all about your training and testing, training, and go live. So testing, training, then you will be having those cutover activities generally for data migrations and all. Okay. So there will be generally cutover manager. Same manager will play a role of a cutover manager and all. Then you finally go live and all. Right. So again, after go live also, we will be having your typical support page, or we call it hypercare. Some organization it
Right,
goes
okay.
for 2 weeks, some up to 1 month to 3 months, depends upon your contract. Yes, up to 3 months
Nice.
generally. Okay, so it depends upon your contract. Simultaneously, in the payroll project, you will be having a parallel run. So that also you have to track, right? And during this phase also, you will be having any Jira ticket or your ServiceNow ticket, where the
Service
ticket
not
include any
again.
issues coming, any tickets coming up, that also you have to monitor. So this is a typical process. Generally, after this, it will go to your typical support page, which we are not going to discuss now. Okay. So in the implementation, actually, when I say implementation, all the three things are actually covered here. Okay. So I've already same process we have to follow because generally this three comes as a bundle. Okay. So this is not a separate thing. This implementation, migration, and integration, these three tasks will go together. Okay. When in a typical implementation. And in the future, integration, suppose you are integrating any new thing, that will come again a separate one. Okay. But this is from a typical typical curriculum, whatever we are discussing now, it will be, I'm just thinking long term. I always think long term from a strategic point of view, from a career point of view. Okay. So that is why it is different from the typical trainings and all. I keep it. So this is something which will be very helpful in your projects and whatever you do in the future, okay, depending upon your roles and all responsibilities, which will be very generic, not only for SAP. In future, I wish you should also explore other products, maybe 5 or 6 years down the line, whenever you are confident. Then same process also you can think about. It's very easy, make your life easy. And 10 years down the line also, the similar thing will be there, nothing much. These things are not going to change. Okay. So only the product, tool, tactics, all the shortcuts, how to may change, but these principles will be evergreen, right? So and also we have to ensure we are, because we have to stay evergreen in the market. We are not going to lose something in the market. We have to have our value in the market in the top, right? So I always say that whatever we do, it's thinking long term, right? So something. Okay, I think
So now
this.
you are in the workday. I can see that in the website there is a
No,
workday kind of
I am.
coming soon.
We do have. I am not in Workday. Actually, I am as an architect. I have to evaluate many times with multiple products. So I'm into
Okay, all
Workday.
right.
I'm into Oracle. I'm into SuccessFactors, everything.
People software.
So, but everything is there. But actually, I'm not implementing because I have done that work for the last 12 years, right? I have people in my team. So we have 300 plus people, and they work in a different modules, just like mentor. I may do a mentoring, coaching, those kind of stuff. This is my current role for the last 1.5 years, which is which I love to do actually. So that is something. Yeah, but yeah. Okay. Any questions here?
No,
We
no,
have not
no,
covered
no, no.
fully.
All good. All good. All good. You can go again. I'm not tired.
No, actually, I have some other things to do.
No, bro.
Some
No, bro.
other last 30 minutes are available because I have my own. I was pursuing a PhD, so I have a catch up with my mentor. To my mentor,
Oh.
I have to meet. So after half an hour, so I have to take some preparation is required for that. So otherwise, I could have long go. But anyway, it's just to I will be sharing this recording. Well, just to follow the process and the
Thank you
documentation
so
which
much.
I have mentioned. Go to that,
Uh-huh.
and I will be revamping this. This is actually again revising this tracks and all. And I'll be giving you, allow you to ask questions here in the platform itself because it will be helpful. I have seen people asking questions of WhatsApp and all. That is good, but again, you cannot track in the future. If you're capturing here, it will be a long term. 2 years down the
Yeah.
line, 3 years down the line, if it is the same issues, again, you don't have to come back directly. You can search here and you will be finding that solution here itself, right? So it is our private community, I will say, for our students, for my students. Okay. This will be very helpful. So I think with that note, we'll stop here. And very
So
nice to interact with you. I didn't
you
feel
you too
also
you
many
too.
times I made I'm looking forward to similar kind of interaction also in the future, because I always focus more interaction. Not it should not feel like a lecture. Only I teach and something. Even if I do not know, I expect questions from you, and definitely, if I do not know, I will definitely find an answer for you that. But this is kind of a structure follow. And next session, what will happen? Basically, the remaining things I will just give an overview, and next session onwards, we will go to the system, whatever system we are having, and we will start with the hands-on. Okay, and accordingly, we will follow. Mostly, we'll be focusing on the implementation side of it, and because other things will be easy one, nothing much. So yeah, and we will again, I will gives you some case studies. Generally, I was planning to have a same thing I have activated for onboarding module. Okay, so what I have done there in the onboarding module, I have created a hackathon. Okay, so you might have heard about hackathon generally in the developer world. They do it. Okay, same thing actually I'm planning to replicate in our yeah, EC module as well. So if you see hackathon, actually I started in onboarding module for one of my students. Right, just a minute, I will show you what I have done there. If it is there in the hackathon, just a minute. Okay, somewhere I missed it. I will show you that in the next session. Okay, so I have done it
No
for the
problem.
onboarding module. Okay, but the same thing I'm planning to do it for you so that you will be on track. Okay, so because we're targeting as soon as possible, you understand the thing, and also I believe you are applying for jobs as well, right, in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
market,
yeah. Yeah,
and that
parallelly
is
I'm
your
doing it.
parallelly you are doing it, right? So for you, what I understood from it, that also I set as a goal for you. Okay, generally. So what is your goals is actually from all these things, you are also aspiring for a job, right? So this will be a you will require support here more. Track number 10. Okay, it will be like an interview preparation. Definitely, you will. Uh, I will having some mock interview once our course is over. Okay, generally it is an optional thing, but based on a need, actually I do it. Okay, so we will be having a session on your preparation for your interview, and also people who do you have certification already, or you are planning?
I already have. Luckily, I got
You
it,
already
to be
have.
honest.
Oh,
Luckily, I got
great.
it because most of the questions I choose it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be the right one.
Okay.
Luckily, I got it. There were too many questions. One and a half hours, or if I'm not wrong, 1.5 or 2 hours.
Got it.
That much hours.
Got it.
Luckily, I got
No
it.
problem.
Most of the
So
yeah,
this
that is why I said I'm less experienced, but I know the system. I'm passionate to go to learn the system. Luckily, I
certainly.
got it.
So
But
interview preparation is one of the key activity which I'll be focusing once we are done, because this is what takes a lot of time. Because whatever you have learned, again you have to understand, because interview preparation requires a different strategy. Even you know everything, cracking an interview is a different art.
yeah,
Okay,
different
so
thing.
I
Yeah,
will
yeah.
discuss. That will be I'm just for that region. Actually, I'm just keeping a focus on this area. Okay, then definitely we will go further accordingly, and we through. And also, meanwhile, watch those videos and keep on watching
Yeah,
those
yep, yep.
existing videos. Already.
Can you please share that blog which you mentioned, Deloitte one, the Deloitte one, and there was
Uh,
another one which you showed to
So
me
what I will do,
about that
whatever I have shown, I have shared with you,
SAP
this will be
education, SAP
also,
education.
I already put in the chat. Okay, this chat also I
Okay,
will be sharing it, and
okay,
during
okay.
with your recording, it will also go with you. I will
Okay,
be
thank you
showing,
so much.
no problem. So I think
Previously,
that's all for.
when I was working with when I had a course with the Zaratech, it was too bad. The things which they are mentioning about it too much, 2 year backdated kind of documents were sharing with them, and they were saying that
Hmm.
it is the same thing right now happening. But there was some
Right.
guy who was saying that it is not right because I've seen it. I have the learning access, learning hub access. This is not the right document. That we were fighting with them. That
No, it
Zaratech
should
team.
not be. It should not.
Uh,
It should not be. Actually, every time we do, for that reason, I say it is a journey. It is not a
yeah,
destination.
yeah.
And every module, every cloud module, even I'm learning in this journey with you. And because something will be there which I didn't know. New releases coming, I didn't know what is the SAP's plan, what is happening in the future, we never know, right? It is journey. Okay, everything is a journey actually. So whatever you learn in this, not only SAP, whatever cloud products, this is because these keep on innovating. They keep on innovating. The innovation cycle is very high, right? Every time client customer requires something, client SAP has to respond. Otherwise, they will not stay in the market. Workday will come and they will innovate something. They will go ahead, right? Something there's a lot of competition as well. So for that to sustain, so they will be definitely every 6 months, even inside 6 months also, I check it out. The implementation guide, what does it say? What the website says. The website also do a comparison. We do that. So always we have to stay current, right, in this competitive market.
Oh,
Otherwise,
yeah. We were outdated. We were outdated.
yeah, we have to stay in the market to and stay competitive as well. Okay, so nice to talk to you. Nice to meet you for the first sessions, and we will look forward and let me know whatever the challenges that you face in the meanwhile while going through the videos. If you have any questions below the video, also you have an option to, or every video you have asked.
I'll watch it definitely today itself.
Even if you do not have any queries also, you can ask your reflections, what you understood from that videos, what is your key takeaways, 4 or 5 points, right? You are making a notes in the, maybe I have seen people making a notes in a pen and paper. At the same time, you can also make a digital notes and you post it there. Okay? So while we're going through the videos, so make a digital, because I do digital notes these days, because whenever you're traveling, right, sometimes you can also watch these videos even if you're in the app, the New Genre app. So same in the app also, you can watch this video, whatever this in our LMS. Okay, you can have a.
No. Okay, so you guys have app also?
This module, so you have to go through, you have to go to Play Store and you have to go to New Genre app. Okay, so you have to go to the Play Store. Inside that, you will be having type Genre only. Okay, Genre, you will be getting that app. So this is okay, you will be getting something here called Genre. It looked like this. You're able to see my screen, right?
Yeah, I can.
So this is the app, the first one. Okay, so you have to just install it. Okay, so
I'll do it.
And you will be able to access your same.
Then the same videos will be coming in that, your videos.
Same videos. Whatever the documentations you will be having. Even if you're traveling and if you want to catch up those videos and all, you can do that on Travel. It was not there last time. Only we have to actually. It is upgraded to app.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, welcome. Okay, see you then.
See ya.
Have a good day.
Bye. Bye. Happy weekend.
Bye. Same to you. Bye.